Chapter 189. Weak people let their thoughts control their actions. Strong people, on the other hand, let their actions control their thoughts. Against their will, Qin must go on like this. Only when he stands at the top of the world and nobody can threaten him, will he be able to do whatever he wants. At the door of the room, Qin Yu is quietly looking at Qin Yu, who is looking up at the starry sky in the courtyard. Qin Yu's eyes, which are looking at the stars in the sky, are incomparably firm. Suddenly, a faint smile appears on Qin Yu's face. Has Lu Xing's tear also sensed my change? No matter what happens in the future, even if the sky falls and the earth rends, I will face it calmly. Qin Yu can sense the change in the energy of Lu Xing's tear. The feeling of compatibility with Lu Xing's tear seems to have deepened. In an instant, Qin Yu's state of mind has also changed. The middle stage of the Kongming stage? The 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation in 5 months? Qin Yu has a faint smile on his face. His state of mind has suddenly advanced from the early stage of the Kongming stage to the middle stage of the Kongming stage. He has been waiting for the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation for a long time. At this moment, he suddenly senses that the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation will arrive in 5 months. However, Qin Yu is not wild with joy at the moment. The road ahead is still very long. All of this is just a small interlude. As for D9 of the 9 Spirits Hall, which is troubling Qin Yu right now, it is just a small fork in the road of Qin Yu's life. If Qin Yu does not want to do this, if he wants to be a weak person, won't he also be free and unfettered, as long as he hides in some corner of a beautiful place to practice quietly? However, if that is really the case, perhaps when a strong person threatens the lives of his family members, he can only watch helplessly as his family members are harmed. Therefore, Qin Yu has chosen to become a strong person. He has chosen to become a strong person who can protect his family members and brothers. When he has made this decision, his path has also been decided. Fighting, bloodthirsty, indifferent, crazy, going against his will, slaughtering, scheming, dangerous, this is Qin Yu's path. This is his own choice. Naturally, he has to take responsibility for it. Qin Yu's spiritual sense spread out. His spiritual sense, which had reached the middle Kongming stage, had a very wide range. The entire capital was covered by Qin Yu's spiritual sense. At this moment, Qin Yu could clearly see that, in the imperial palace, the princes were sleeping peacefully, and his brother Qin Zheng was seriously reviewing memorials. His big brother Qin Feng was quietly cultivating. It was quiet and peaceful. Qin Yu would only be satisfied with his choice when he saw his family living a peaceful and happy life. It was just like, when he was young, he practiced external martial arts for more than 10 years in order to obtain his father's praise and smile. Now he was walking on the path of the strong. Time was so far away, but he was doing it for the smiles of his family and brothers. 1 month after Qin Yu sensed the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation, in Prince Yu's mansion, Su Yuan was playing Go with Li Er. Compared to Qin Yu's level, Su Yuan's Go skills were obviously much better, especially after absorbing the foundation building elixir and starting to cultivate. Su Yuan's mind was much more flexible than before. Naturally, his Go skills had also improved. Haha, Miss Li Er, I admit defeat. Miss Li Er's Go skills are really superb. Su Yuan laughed and gave up. Uncle Su, your Go skills have obviously improved. I think you're not much worse than the capital's Go saint. Li Er smiled and accepted the Go pieces. After the game, Qin Yu, Li Er and Su Yuan chatted. What, Xiao Yu? You're going to undergo the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation in 4 months. Su Yuan was shocked. He was no longer as carefree and calm as before. Qin Yu nodded and said with a smile, Uncle Su, what's wrong? It's just the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation. Is it worth making such a fuss about? Li Er also looked at Qin Yu and said somewhat angrily, Qin Yu, you unexpectedly didn't tell me that you were going to undergo the tribulation. Qin Yu was startled. When Li Er called him Qin Yu instead of Big Brother Qin Yu, she was obviously angry. Given my current power, it should be very easy for me to undergo the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation. Unless something special and strange happens at the end like Xiao He did that day. Even so, I'll still be able to go through it. Qin Yu was very confident. Li Er looked at Qin Yu for a long time, then said with a sigh, "Be careful, big brother Qin Yu. Your heavenly tribulation definitely won't be as simple as you think." Su Yuan, however, said, "Xiao Yu, I've just thought of a plan that can easily lure that Deni out and kill him." "Oh." Qin Yu's eyes brightened. He said, "Uncle Su, quickly tell me. Don't hide it from me. What's the plan? I'll always feel a little uneasy as long as this Deni is still alive." Su Yuan fanned himself with his feather fan and said confidently, "Xiao Yu, according to what you said, that Deni wants to kill you and Ho Fei the most because you killed his brothers. But his power is inferior to yours, so he basically has no chance at all. Therefore, you only need to leak the news of your tribulation to him." Su Yuan looked at Qin Yu confidently. Qin Yu's eyes brightened. "Haha, that's right. That Deni hates me and Fei the most, but he has no chance at all. That's why he's been holed up in some place in the underwater Xiuyao world all along. But if he knows the place and time of my tribulation, he'll definitely come. Qin Yu could be considered to have figured this Deni out. Life and death. For revenge, Deni will definitely not care about life and death. He wants to kill the Qin clan's descendants only because he wants to grieve Qin Yu. How can this be compared to personally hurting Qin Yu to vent his hatred? No. Li Er, however, said coldly. Qin Yu was startled. "Qin Yu, you can't be careless about this tribulation. I told you long ago that this 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation is definitely not as simple as you think. Didn't you see Xiao Hei's 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation? If Deni comes and takes advantage of your tribulation to attack you, you'll be in big trouble." Li Er's eyes were full of anxiety. Qin Yu's heart warmed. "Don't worry, Miss Li Er. I've devised this plan so naturally, I won't let Xiao Yu take any risks. When the time comes, I'll let Ho Fei, who has the highest power, hide on one side. When that Deni comes, I'll let Ho Fei beat him to death." Su Yuan said calmly. Li Er, however, said, "Beat him to death? Even though Deni's power is inferior to Fei's, he's anxious for revenge, so he'll definitely do whatever it takes in the end. If he explodes himself, he may really affect Qin Yu. Moreover, going through the heavenly tribulation is extremely dangerous. If an accident really happens, it'll be terrible." Su Yuan was startled, then looked at Qin Yu. "Xiao Yu, this plan of mine is a bit reckless, so I won't use it for the time being." Su Yuan originally thought that Qin Yu's tribulation would be extremely easy, but now, according to Li Er, it seems to be extremely dangerous. If he is not careful, he may even fail the tribulation and his soul will scatter. Li Er also stared at Qin Yu. All right, I won't use this plan, all right?" Qin Yu said smilingly to Li Er. Inside that nameless underwater mountain range, Qin Yu is going to undergo the tribulation? Deni is startled, then he suddenly grabs Yan Xian's arms and says hurriedly with wide eyes, "That Qin Yu is going to undergo the tribulation. Could it be the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation? Yan Xian, you can't joke about this matter. Tell me the truth." Deni's eyes blaze as if he wants to swallow someone. Seeing Deni like this, Yan Xian hurriedly says, "Valley Master, according to the news, that Qin Yu said that in 3.5 months, Qin Yu will be preparing to undergo the tribulation on the Stone Crane Island, which is relatively close to the Qianlong continent. It seems Qin Yu deliberately spread this news. Stone Crane Island in 3.5 months? Deni mumbles in a low voice, then raises his head. His eyes flash with cold light. Deliberately spread it? Of course I know that Qin Yu deliberately spread it. If he didn't spread the news about this tribulation, how could our intelligence network have known about it? Valley Master, that Qin Yu must be deliberately luring you to go there." Yan Mao says affirmatively. Deni says with a cold laugh, "Of course I know that he's luring me to go there. But if it's really him undergoing the tribulation, I have to go." Deni says coldly. "Valley Master." Yan Xian and Yan Mao are greatly shocked. Deni narrows his eyes. "According to the news my 3 big brothers sent me at that time, that Qin Yu is a disciple of the Qin dynasty and has been practicing for less than 100 years. However, in such a short time, he has reached such a cultivation level. If this goes on, the gap between my cultivation level and his will only grow bigger and bigger, and my hope for revenge will only grow smaller and smaller. Yen Xian and Yen Mao are silent. They have indeed learned about Qin Yu. Qin Yu has been practicing for such a short time, but his cultivation level is so high. If this goes on, the gap between D9 and Qin Yu will only grow bigger and bigger. As for that Hou Fei, he is an extraordinary divine beast. In the past my big brothers joined hands, but they were not a match for Hou Fei. According to Big Brother, Hou Fei overcame the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulations several years ago. Now his power is even more profound than at that time. I'm even less of a match for him. Valley Master, revenge is not urgent. Yen Xian and Yen Mao are worried. D9 however says with a cold humph. Yes, it is not urgent. But I'm different. If I don't get into action now, I won't have any chance later. Yen Xian, Yen Mao. Now I can only scheme against Qin Yu's relatives. Why? Because if I have to face Qin Yu and Hou Fei head-on, I won't have any hope at all. But to deal with Qin Yu's relatives, I simply can't get into action myself. Perhaps Qin Yu and Hou Fei are waiting for me in the capital. D9 laughs wildly. Haha, I want to kill Qin Yu's relatives, but I don't dare to get into action myself. I can only stay here. What's the use of staying here? Absolutely no use. I might as well fight for the only bit of hope. Yen Xian, Yen Mao. D9 suddenly stares at Yen Xian and Yen Mao. Valley Master. The two of them look at D9. You listen to me. Even if I'm in the valley, I won't have any hope of killing Qin Yu's relatives. Therefore, from now on, you'll be in charge of the affairs of the valley. You'll be in charge of the affairs of the ghosts. Remember, kill Qin Yu's relatives. D9's eyes redden. As for me, I'll go catch the only hope for revenge. Qin Yu set up a trap, but cleverness overreaches itself. Hasn't he heard of this saying? Even if I have to risk my life, I'll make him fail to pass the tribulation and have his soul dispersed. The two of you, swear to me that you'll definitely be in charge of the valley and kill Qin Yu's relatives. D9 stares at Yen Xian and Yen Mao. Forcing people to swear an oath is not a random oath for Ziationists. Yen Xian and Yen Mao exchange a look, but facing D9's terrifying gaze, the two of them have no choice but to swear because they know that if they don't, D9 will probably kill them directly, because he has already been bedeviled. I, Yen Xian, swear to heaven that I'll definitely be in charge of the affairs of the valley, and that I'll aim at killing Qin Yu's clansmen. I'll never give up. If I give up, I'll be struck by lightning and have my soul dispersed. I, Yen Mao, swear to heaven that I'll definitely be in charge of the affairs of the valley, and that I'll always aim at killing Qin Yu's clansmen. I'll never give up. If I give up, I'll be struck by lightning and have my soul dispersed. The two brothers swear at the same time. Very good, very good. Seeing this scene, a satisfied smile appears on D9's face. From now on, I'm going to undergo closed-door training to forge some secret offensive weapons. The two of you will be in charge of the affairs of the valley. When the day comes, I'll show myself. Remember, don't disturb me no matter what. D9 waves his large sleeves and leaves directly like this. Yen Xian and Yen Mao exchange a look, but they feel bitter in their hearts. Originally they had prepared to disband and live a peaceful life if D9 died one day. But now they have been forced to swear by D9 behind closed doors. They do not dare to violate their oath. In Prince Yu's mansion, Qin Yu and Hou Fei fly away directly. Qin De, Qin Feng, Qin Zheng, Li Er and the others on the ground are all watching them. Seeing Qin Yu leave, Li Er shakes her head helplessly. However, she thinks to herself, Big brother Qin Yu, you still spread the news. I didn't expect you to be willing to take risks in order to kill D9, but with Fei on one side and that, there shouldn't be any problem. I hope the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation won't cause too much trouble. Qin Yu and Hou Fei fly side by side. Fei, when we get to the Stone Crane Island, spread out your holy sense at all times. If that D9 appears, beat him to death directly for me. Even though I'm not afraid of him, I always feel that what Li Er said is right. The 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation may exceed my expectations. Qin Yu's expression is solemn. Don't worry, big brother. No matter what happens, I won't let that D9 touch you at all. Ho Fei says confidently. Qin Yu also gives a smile. In fact, Qin Yu has never taken Di Nai seriously. If it were Di Long or Di Jian, he would have to pay a bit of attention to him. But for Di Nai, the degree of danger naturally decreases. Moreover, Ho Fei has crossed the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation. Even if Di Long and Di Jian come in person, they will still be finished off in one blow. The reason why Xiao He did not come this time is that he was forced by Qin Yu to protect Qin Da and the others. He is worried that Di Nai will take advantage of the fact that the experts in the capital are weak and attack the capital instead. That will be terrible. After flying out of the Qianlong continent and heading south for a while, they see an uninhabited island. There is a naturally formed mountain peak on this island, which looks very much like a crane. Therefore, it is called the Stone Crane Island. This island is also the place where Qin Yu has chosen to undergo the tribulation. Chapter 190. Ga. The stone door opens. A gloomy and cold aura spreads out. Di Nai walks out of the private room like this. At the moment, he has a bit more coldness and a bit more killing intent than he did before he went in. His entire aura alone causes people to feel fear. Valley Master. Yen Xian and Yen Mao immediately say respectfully. In the past few days, they have been waiting for Di Nai to come out of closed-door training. After all, they also know that Qin Yu will undergo his tribulation within a day or two. Yen Xian and Yen Mao, tell those 6 guardians to come here. Di Nai gives an ice-cold order directly. Yes. In just a while, the 6 guardians of the valley have arrived in front of Di Nai. All of them appear very respectful. Today, I'm going to leave the valley to go kill that Qin Yu. As soon as Di Nai opens his mouth, the 6 guardians are greatly startled. However, he continues with a cold expression. And the 6 of you just have to listen to the orders of the 2 deputy valley masters. Everything is for the purpose of killing the Qin clan's descendants. The 6 great protectors immediately responded respectfully. Di Nai, however, says with a cold laugh. When I go, it's hard to say whether I'll live or die. You've complied like this, but I don't feel at ease. Swear an oath here. If you don't need to think too much about your fate. The 6 guardians are very frightened, so they all swear an oath at once. Bound by the oath, they do not dare to violate it at will. Very good. Remember, if anyone betrays you, the others can kill him. Di Nai laughs nervously several times, then disappears in front of everybody with a movement of his body. The 6 guardians and the 2 deputy valley masters look at each other, but do not know what to say. Di Nai is waiting calmly under the water far away from the Stone Crane Island. Qin Yu, I've consumed a great deal of materials to make so many offensive talismans and spirit tablets. I'd like to see how you'll undergo your tribulation alive. At the bottom of the sea, Di Nai's eyes are very gloomy and cold. In the past, he was at the middle Dongshu stage. Motivated by hatred, he unexpectedly broke through that limit and reached the late Dongshu stage. This is also a trump card for his revenge this time. The 6 and 9 heavenly tribulation, Big Brother Qin Yu's tribulation. I hope there won't be too big a mistake. Li Er is walking back and forth in her room with a frown. At the moment she is also unable to feel at ease. On the Stone Crane Island, originally, the sun was high in the sky and the sky was blue. However, in an instant, the sky seemed to have dropped down by a layer. The sky several thousand miles above the Stone Crane Island was completely dark red, with the Stone Crane Island as the center. Qin Yu, who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and looked up. The 6 and 9 heavenly tribulation is about to begin. Qin Yu stood up and focused all his attention on the heavenly tribulation. A gale suddenly rose, and the waves around the Stone Crane Island surged violently. The waves were tens of meters high, close to 100 meters high, and hit every corner of the Stone Crane Island. Rumble, 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 as if heavenly thunder was rumbling. The sound of the whole world was completely chaotic. Countless electric snakes danced in the dark red sky. Suddenly swish. The sound of people inhaling could be heard in the sky. Suddenly, the gale disappeared, and the waves calmed down. In just a short while, the surroundings of the Stone Crane Island had become so quiet that it was cute. There were no waves at all. All the lightning had disappeared, because in the span of a breath, all the lightning had been absorbed by the tribulation cloud. A purplish-black tribulation cloud. Big brother, last time when I underwent the tribulation cloud was not so black. Moreover, the speed at which it absorbed the lightning was not so fast either. It seems a bit abnormal. Be careful. Ho Fei warned Di Fui from afar. Qin Yu nodded, and took a look at the 6 pieces of defensive wood around his feet. At the moment, the defensive formation had not been activated. Good steel should be used on steel blades. Of course, this defensive formation, the best one, should be used until the final 6th tribulation of the heavenly thunder. Fei, pay attention to me with your holy sense. As soon as you find any trace of that Denai, kill him immediately. Your mission is to kill Denai. Don't be distracted. Qin Yu said through his holy sense. Afterwards, he himself also began to prepare for the heavenly thunder. Each of the 6 waves of heavenly thunder was more powerful than the one before. Qin Yu naturally used his body to resist the first, the smallest wave of heavenly thunder. If his body could not even resist the first wave of heavenly thunder, Qin Yu would not have had to resist the remaining 5 waves of heavenly thunder. Boom! A huge purple heavenly thunder, that was as thick as a water tank, smashed down on Qin Yu's body. In an instant, Qin Yu's entire body was bathed in the heavenly thunder. Like a god of thunder and lightning, he was not injured at all. Awesome, this feels really awesome. Qin Yu narrowed his eyes in great enjoyment. Ordinary thunderbolts would have no destructive power to Qin Yu's body at all. But this first wave of heavenly thunder made Qin Yu's entire body feel numb. This kind of feeling was even more comfortable than a massage. 6 waves of heavenly thunder. The first wave should be weak, but it's really too weak. Qin Yu muttered. Even though he was muttering, Qin Yu still did not dare to lower his guard. After all, when the tribulation cloud was formed at the beginning, the thunderbolts gathered too quickly. Moreover, the tribulation cloud was so purple that it was almost black. Obviously, its energy had already reached a terrifying level. Boom! The second wave of heavenly thunder struck again. Qin Yu still directly used his body to resist it. Beams of electric snakes stimulated every part of his body like tiny needles. Qin Yu could not help but shrink all the pores on his body. The electric current passed through his muscles and directly penetrated into every part of his body. Qin Yu's muscles were directly tempered by the heavenly thunder. Unexpectedly, he had never thought of this before. The first 5 waves of heavenly thunder were actually so powerful. Before transcending the tribulation, Li Er reminded him once. Qin Yu had also seen Ho Fei and Xiao He transcend their 6 in 9 heavenly tribulations. Although Xiao Hei's last heavenly thunder strike was terrifying, it did not take away Xiao Hei's life. As for the first 5 waves of heavenly thunder, compared to Xiao He and Ho Fei's, it seemed weaker. What's going on? This is simply inexplicable. The 5th wave of heavenly thunder only completed the heavenly thunder body tempering effect that Master mentioned. According to the plan, the 3rd wave of heavenly thunder should have achieved that effect. Qin Yu frowned and thought to himself. He had used the purple gold as liquid to refine many talismans and set up a large array. However, up until now, Qin Yu had directly resisted the 5th wave of heavenly thunder with his body. Not good. Qin Yu's face suddenly changed greatly. He suddenly thought of a possibility. Heavenly tribulation generally consumed all the energy in the tribulation cloud. He and Ho Fei both sensed that the energy in the black tribulation cloud was much greater than that of Xiao He and Ho Fei's tribulation. With so much energy, the first 5 waves of heavenly thunder were not very powerful. In other words, the energy consumed was not much. The energy consumed in the first 5 waves was not much. In other words, there was a lot of energy left. The remaining energy formed the 6th wave of heavenly thunder. How terrifying would that be? Villainous heavens, what are you playing at? These 6 waves of heavenly thunder, each wave is stronger than the previous one. However, the difference should not be too great. You are actually conserving energy. The first 5 waves were so weak. You saved the energy for the 6th wave. Then the 6th wave of heavenly thunder. Qin Yu only had a bad feeling. No wonder Li Er reminded him time and time again. Qinyu did not have the time to scold her. Qinyu's finger shook immediately. A drop of blood flew out from his chest. Then, he activated the 6 origin defensive wood array. At the same time, he fused his essence blood. This large array was easier to control. Its power also increased slightly. 12 Thunder Break Talismans. Hopefully it will have some effect. If there is no other way, I can only use my last move. Qinyu had also prepared a lot of backup moves. Chi-Chi. The tribulation cloud seemed to be tempered. A flame actually emerged from the tribulation cloud. Then the tribulation cloud began to shrink. At the same time, electric snakes began to flicker in the tribulation cloud. However, under the burning of the flame, the tribulation cloud continued to shrink. Even God is helping me. Judging from the momentum of this heavenly tribulation, the 6th wave of heavenly thunder will definitely be extraordinarily powerful. Qinyu, it's hard to say whether you can withstand the 6th wave of heavenly thunder. With this attack of mine, you're dead for sure. D9 is watching the distant sky from below the water surface. Everything in the sky is under his observation. It's about time. D9's body suddenly rushes extremely fast in the direction of the stone crane island. Whiz! The tribulation cloud suddenly shrinks. However, it turns into a purplish-black thunderbolt. In short, it should be a kind of cyan thunderbolt after being mixed. This light cyan thunderbolt is very thin, only as thick as 2 fingers. It is even smaller than a wrist. Such an extremely thin light cyan thunderbolt strikes down at Qinyu's head from the sky. The flaming sword has already flown out of the formation. At the moment, the flaming sword is shining brightly, charging straight at that light cyan thunderbolt. As soon as the flaming sword and the extremely thin light cyan thunderbolt touch each other, the flaming sword unexpectedly shatters completely with a bang like glass being smashed by a hammer. The extremely thin light cyan thunderbolt is hardly damaged at all. Pooh! Qinyu immediately spurts out a mouthful of blood from his mouth. His face flushes. Damn God, you're playing with me. Qinyu curses furiously in his mind. However, all of his attention is focused on his body. The flaming sword has only touched his top-grade holy weapon for a short while. Yet it has been destroyed just like that. Even though his power is not high, but this is only a 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation. Such a powerful force is really too terrifying. Pung! That extremely thin light cyan thunderbolt hits the protective shield formed by the 6 sources defensive wood formation. Flashes of light can be seen. The light cyan thunderbolt and the 6 green pieces of defensive wood shine together. However, the energy of the shield fluctuates extremely fast. After holding on for a breath, the shield shatters. The light cyan thunderbolt has already become a bit purplish in color. However, this one breath's time was enough for Qinyu to perform that move. He has already thrown out the 12 thunder talismans. Mother **Cur, I'm going all out. Qinyu does not care about anything else. So what if his power is greatly damaged? He can't care about anything else. Qinyu shouts in his mind. In an instant, his entire body is wrapped in golden light. At this moment, Qinyu turns into a golden man. At the same time, the entire stone crane island vibrates. Under Qinyu's feet. Rumble, the rocks under his feet shatter. From the bottom of the sea below the island, a blazing flame rushes out just like that. This is the star core flame from the depths of the earth. Star domain star core flame. Qinyu shouts in his mind. As if it is burning, the star core flame from the bottom of the earth directly wraps around Qinyu. He directly forms a palm with both hands and attacks upwards. At this moment, that thunderbolt has just broken the 6 sources defensive wood formation. It directly collides with Qinyu's all-out attack. Qinyu's palms are facing forward. A thick golden beam of light shoots out directly from Qinyu's palms. At the same time, that golden beam of light also wraps around the star core flame from the bottom of the earth. Pung! The two of them collide. Boom! 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 The entire stone crane island explodes. Qinyu, prepare to die. A loud shout through clenched teeth resounds through the entire island. D9 grasps the opportunity very well. When the 6th thunderbolt strikes down, he also charges over. D9 waves his hands, and a large number of talismans and jade tablets shoot out. Explosions again and again. Ho Fei is greatly shocked. So many talismans and jade tablets with such great power. How many treasures must he have used? Ho Fei, however, does not know that Deni has used up almost half of the treasures in the Nine Spirits Hall for this. Kaka die now. With a movement of his body, Ho Fei arrives in front of Deni directly. That black stick descends directly from the sky and smashes at Deni's head. Deni's face is ferocious. He guessed early on that this is a trap, but he has no choice but to come. This is his only hope. Ah! In an instant, Deni's entire body directly turns into a huge purple demon aquatic dragon. That huge purple demon aquatic dragon is not only extremely long, but also extremely thick. Ho Fei's black stick smashes directly at the purple demon aquatic dragon's waist. The purple demon aquatic dragon twists its waist and tries its best to dissipate the force of the attack. However, its dragon scales are still shattered and blood flows out from them. Take another stick. Ho Fei brandishes his stick again and smashes at it. Deni suddenly utters a dragon roar. A golden beam of light shoots straight at Qin Yu from his mouth. It stops abruptly. The sixth thunderbolt collides with Qin Yu's most powerful attack, and unexpectedly stops for a moment. At that moment, it seems the whole world has stopped. Time has stopped. However, boom. The golden beam of light shatters. The underground core flame splashes everywhere. The thunderbolt, which has turned into a purple-black color, bombards Qin Yu's raised palms. At the moment, Qin Yu is wearing the flaming gloves on his hands, which are glittering with dazzling light. His star power has already reached its limit. However, at the same time, a flying sword shoots at him. Pung! Qin Yu tries his best to resist the thunderbolt with both hands. Thanks to the flaming gloves and the star power, he unexpectedly causes the thunderbolt to stop again. Poof! Qin Yu has no time to dodge. The flying sword pierces through his chest. Right at this moment, Qin Yu's star power inside his body shakes because the flaming gloves have not been penetrated by the star power, so they are unexpectedly shattered into pieces. Qin Yu's hands and arms are also directly charred black. Die! Seeing this scene, the furious Ho Fei directly enters a berserk state and turns into a giant. Holding a huge black stick in his hand, he smashes it at the purple demon aquatic dragon with brute force. However, at this moment, another golden beam of light shoots out from the aquatic dragon's mouth. Pung! Ho Fei is so furious that the huge black stick smashes the purple demon aquatic dragon directly into meat paste. Blood flows all over the ground. The purple demon aquatic dragon's physical body is now deader than dead. However, the golden beam of light that shot out of the dragon's mouth just now is a small Yuanying holding a short sword. This Yuanying is Deni's Yuanying. The short sword is a top-grade holy weapon. For this revenge, even though Deni already had a top-grade holy weapon, he still forged another top-grade holy weapon with his own top-grade crystals. No matter what, he must kill Qin Yu. Whiz! A Yuanying riding a sword is much faster than a human riding a sword. However, just now Ho Fei has smashed the purple demon aquatic dragon's body with his black stick. By the time he notices the Yuanying, it is already too late. Qin Yu die. Deni's eyes are blazing. His entire Yuanying starts to burn. His speed has reached its limit. Even if Ho Fei tries desperately, he cannot catch up with Deni's current speed. Turning into a dazzling Yuanying, Deni's entire body collides with Qin Yu. However, at this moment, that purple-black thunderbolt has already shattered Qin Yu's hands. His arms are charred black, and his whole body is covered with blood. Deni's Yuanying self-detonation, the last stab of the top-grade holy weapon, and the attack of the purple-black thunderbolt finally lead to a terrifying explosion. Boom! The explosion is so loud that the small stone crane island is unexpectedly blown apart completely. Ocean waves sweep over the entire stone crane island at once. Gravel splashes everywhere. However, there is no trace of the explosion at all. Big brother! Ho Fei shouts at the top of his voice, then spreads out his holy sense madly to search carefully. Chapter 191. At the moment, Ho Fei's face is full of anxiety. His heart is full of hatred and anger. He still remembers that at that time he patted his chest and promised Chinyu that he would definitely be able to kill Dinai easily and would never let Dinai hurt Chinyu in the slightest. However, in the end he was careless and underestimated the opponent's determination. In fact, this cannot be blamed on Ho Fei, because normally when people fight each other, it is impossible for them to have yuanying out of their bodies immediately before the fight. Normally, people will only have yuanying out of their bodies to flee for their lives when they know they are going to lose. But this time, Dinai has already had yuanying out of his mouth even before he has transformed into the purple demon aquatic dragon to fight against Ho Fei. Only when Ho Fei destroys Dinai's physical body with a blow of his stick does he discover that Dinai has already had yuanying out of his body. The most important thing is that Dinai has gone too far. He has directly ignited his yuanying and charged at Chinyu as fast as he can. He has yuanying out of his sword and ignited his yuanying. Even Ho Fei cannot catch up with him at such a speed. He can only look on helplessly at that world-shaking explosion. Big brother, big brother! Ho Fei shouts loudly with an anxious expression. At the same time, he spreads out his holy sense to search carefully. However, no matter how hard he searches, he cannot find Chinyu at all. In fact, the speed at which Ho Fei's soul cultivation increases is not very fast, and cannot be compared with Chinyu's. Water splashes on that shattered island. Many trees are broken, and their branches float on the surface of the water. It is a scene of devastation, and Ho Fei was standing on this island that had been completely destroyed. Glittering and translucent tears flicker in the corners of Ho Fei's eyes. He clenches his fists tightly. Boom! Ho Fei dives into the water. After a while, he comes up from several tens of li away. Afterwards, he looks around then dives into the water again. For a while, Ho Fei keeps searching on the water and under the water. 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. For a total of 6 hours, Ho Fei continuously went into and out of the water like this. He continued to search carefully. However, everything he did was in vain. Pung! Water splashed everywhere as a figure emerged. It was Ho Fei. Ho Fei's eyelashes were full of water droplets, and he was constantly gasping for breath. However, he still looked around, but there was only the vast ocean around him. Occasionally, there would be broken branches floating, but there was no one. Big brother, where did you go? Ho Fei stood on the surface of the water and muttered in a low voice. After the explosion, even if Chinyu was dead, there should be a corpse. Why was there no corpse? Could it be that his body was reduced to ashes by the explosion? Ho Fei did not believe this result. Drip drip. Ho Fei's hands slowly dropped drops of blood into the water. Ho Fei clenched his fists so tightly that his fingernails pierced his palms. However, Ho Fei did not notice it at all. Instead, he clenched his fists even harder. In Prince Yu's mansion of the Qin dynasty, Father. Qin Zheng says to Qin De with a bow. Qin De raises his head to take a look then squeezes out a faint smile saying, It's you Zheng. Has the border between the Ming dynasty and our Qin dynasty been peaceful recently? It has been peaceful. The Ming dynasty is very well behaved now. Right, Father. Isn't Xiao Yu going to undergo the tribulation? Have you succeeded in crossing the tribulation? Is there any news? Qin Zheng asks Qin De. No news, but he'll definitely succeed. Qin De says very certainly. Yes, he'll definitely succeed. Qin Zheng says with a nod. However, even though the two of them say so, they are not completely sure at the bottom of their hearts. As long as Chinyu does not come back, they will not feel at ease. Miss Li is chatting with her maid Shui. However, as they chat, Li suddenly stares blankly. Miss, what's wrong with you? Shui asks while shaking Li arm with her almond eyes. Ah. Li wakes up with a start then says hurriedly. It's nothing, it's nothing. I just thought of something. Shui winks mischievously and says, Hee, are you thinking of His Highness? Nonsense. Li says indignantly but her face cannot help blushing slightly. I'm talking nonsense, I'm talking nonsense. Is this okay? Shui says with a laugh. Li smiles but in her heart she is praying. Big brother Chinyu, nothing must happen to you. You must succeed in overcoming the tribulation and come back safely. Ho Fei sits with legs crossed on the surface of the water and waits quietly. His face is as calm as an ancient well, looking like a rock sculpture. Pung! Suddenly there is a sound, and at the same time the water splashes in all directions. The calm surface of the sea ripples for a moment. Ho Fei's eyes, which have been closed this whole time, suddenly open and look towards the source of the sound. A figure faintly appears amidst the splashes of water. That familiar figure, that familiar smile, and that familiar gaze. Big brother. Ho Fei suddenly stands up. Fei. Qingyu smiles and moves to Ho Fei's side. At this moment, Ho Fei is so excited that his eyes are red. He fiercely hugs Qingyu. Wonderful. Wonderful. I thought you. Ho Fei pauses in surprise. Speak, where did you hide? Ho Fei returns to his usual self, one hand on his waist, the other holding the black stick as he looks at Qingyu. Hide? I didn't hide, Qingyu says with a smile. You didn't hide? How is that possible? Ho Fei curls his lips. Big brother, you should know that I turned the sky and the earth upside down to look for you in the surrounding several thousand li. I thought you were killed by the last heavenly thunderbolt and Dinai's desperate attack. How can your big brother be so useless? Qingyu says laughingly, but then Qingyu restrains his expression. Fei. But this time it was really very dangerous. Recalling the sixth heavenly thunderbolt and Dinai's self-detonation, Qingyu still has some lingering fear. That strange sixth heavenly thunderbolt. Its power is probably greater than any sixth heavenly thunderbolt in history. Even though he has not seen all the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulations in history, Qingyu still thinks so. The main reason is that this 6th heavenly tribulation is really too strange and too unbelievable. The 6 in 9 heavenly tribulations of divine beasts in general are much more powerful than those of Xiaxianists and Xiamoists. Ho Fei's and Xiao Hei's 6 in 9 heavenly tribulations should be extremely formidable. However, Qingyu's 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation absorbed an extremely large amount of thunderbolt energy from the very beginning, so that it absorbed more energy than Xiao Hei's and Ho Fei's. The most important thing is that the first 5 heavenly thunderbolts are not very powerful, even much weaker than those of Ho Fei's and Dinai's. The excess energy is all gathered in the 6th heavenly thunderbolt. What is this called? It seems that God is deliberately tormenting Qingyu by deliberately controlling the energy of the 6th heavenly thunderbolt. If the power of each heavenly thunderbolt increases gradually according to a certain proportion, Qingyu will definitely be able to withstand it safely. However, in Qingyu's 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation this time, more than half of the energy of the first 5 heavenly thunderbolts has been saved and gathered in the 6th heavenly thunderbolt. Murder, this is simply murder. When Qingyu thinks of this, he cannot understand it. Could it be that God is jealous of him? Dinai's final self-detonation indeed made things worse for Qingyu. Originally, he had used up the flaming sword, the flaming gloves, the 12 talismans, and the 6 origins defensive wood formation. The power of the heavenly thunderbolts has weakened a lot, so Qingyu's hands have been blown up, and his arms have been charred black. The heavenly thunderbolts can only seriously injure Qingyu at most. They cannot do anything to Qingyu. However, Dinai's flying sword pierced through Qingyu's chest, and Dinai's Yuanying self-detonated in front of Qingyu. As a result, Qingyu's chest was unexpectedly blown up, leaving a big hole in it. And the place where the explosion happened to be was the place where Lu Xing's tear. Qingyu will always remember that brilliant light full of vitality when he was blown into the bottom of the water. With the help of Lu Xing's tear, Qingyu healed his physical injuries. At the same time, he also fused the 9 stars into one, breaking through the Lu Xing stage and stepping into the early core stage. I was really lucky to be able to survive the tribulation this time, very lucky. Qingyu says with a sigh. If the heavenly thunderbolts were a bit more powerful, or in other words, if he did not have the 6 origins defensive wood formation, the heavenly thunderbolts would definitely have been able to blow up Qingyu's physical body. If that had happened, not only would the physical body have been blown up, perhaps the 9 golden stars in Qingyu's dantian would have also exploded. When the physical body has been blown up, Will Lu Xing's tear still be able to protect his soul? Qingyu does not know. Big brother, that mixed-haired bird, sisterly heir and your royal father have already messaged me several times, asking whether you succeeded in overcoming the tribulation or not. I only said, I haven't. I've been giving them perfunctory answers. Hou Fei says smilingly. Now he is also relaxed. When Qingyu thinks of his relatives, his heart immediately moves. Then he says with a smile, let's go, Fei. At this moment in Qingyu's dantian, there is only a golden ball the size of a ping-pong ball. The power of the stars in this golden ball is purer and more vigorous than the golden stars in the beginning. A golden star power runs through Qingyu's body. Suddenly, Qingyu's entire body turns into a golden rainbow and flies directly towards the north. Big brother, you don't have any spiritual weapons. How can you still be so fast? Hou Fei is astonished. During the tribulation, both of Qingyu's spiritual weapons were damaged. Logically speaking, without a spiritual weapon, Qingyu's speed should not be as fast as Hou Fei's black stick. However, after Qingyu's power reached the early stage of the core star realm, his speed is comparable to Hou Fei's when he is merely flying. Fei, I don't have a spiritual weapon now. Wait until I refine a spiritual weapon. I will let you know my true speed. As Qinyu and Hou Fei are talking, the two of them fly towards the Qianlong continent. After Qinyu and Hou Fei return to Prince Yu's mansion, a large group of people have been waiting for Qinyu, his father, as well as his big brother and second brother. There is also Li Er, Finjiuzi, Su Yuan and the others who have been worried about him. In order to calm everyone down, Qinyu did not tell them the danger of the tribulation completely. He only told them part of it. The hall of Prince Yu's mansion is naturally luxurious and luxurious. There are paintings and carved beams. All kinds of decorations are even more dazzling. At this moment, a grand banquet is being held in the hall. It is being prepared for Qinyu to successfully pass the tribulation. The people who are attending the banquet are some of the people who are closest to Qinyu, his father, brothers, Uncle Su and the others. Moreover, a special person has also come, Uncle Lan. Big brother, this matter is a bit strange. Xiao He has a human body and an eagle head. He is dressed in black. He crosses his arms in front of his chest and says calmly, in my memory, there has never been such a strange 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation. Heavenly tribulations, Zionist all know that each tribulation is more formidable than the previous one. However, it is impossible for the latter tribulation to be so much more formidable than the former one. But big brother, in your 6 and 9 heavenly tribulation, the first 5 heavenly thunders were unexpectedly very weak. All the energy is concentrated in the 6th heavenly thunders. The 6th heavenly thunders are terrifyingly powerful. This is simply impossible, and it shouldn't have happened. Kuro's sharp eagle eyes are constantly flickering with light. No one knows what he is thinking. Hou Fei nods his head. Everyone else is the same. However, Li Er is deep in thought. Her brows are tightly knitted. Uncle Lan also frowns slightly. The 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation is so strange. Forget it. What can I do when the heavens send such a tribulation? I can only accept it. Don't think about it anymore. It is useless. Come, let's drink. Qinyu raises his wine cup and says smilingly to everybody, Li Er, why aren't you raising your cup? Qinyu looks at Li Er. Li Er is startled, then looks at Qinyu. The look in her eyes, however, confuses Qinyu. Is it sincerity? Is it guilt? Or affection? Qinyu is unexpectedly unable to distinguish the look in Li Er's eyes. He cannot help laughing at himself. Affection? Perhaps it is because he thinks too highly of himself. Big brother Qinyu, did D9 launch a sneak attack when you underwent the tribulation? Li Er looks at Qinyu without a trace of a smile. For the moment, Qinyu does not know what to say. There is a hint of anger in Li Er's eyes. Big brother Qinyu, I know these words should be said by your father, but I have to say that undergoing the tribulation is extremely important and also extremely dangerous. You can ignore other things, but undergoing the tribulation is definitely not a joke. If you want to kill D9, you can't take advantage of the tribulation. You should know that once you make a mistake, you will probably fail the tribulation. Hearing Li Er say so, Qin Yu instead feels warmth in his heart. Don't worry. I won't do it again. Qin Yu looks into Li Er's eyes and says affirmatively. It's good that you won't. Uncle Lan, however, says, Xiao Yu, this times 6, in 9 heavenly tribulation is definitely not a coincidence. Others are not like this, but why are you like this? There must be some special reason. If the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation is like this, the 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation will definitely not be so simple. You have to be careful when undergoing the tribulation later. Yes, Uncle Lan. Qin Yu will definitely take Uncle Lan's words to heart. Uncle Lan says again. I know that in a while, you'll go to the chaotic astral ocean to open the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Uncle Lan, how do you know? Qin Yu is shocked. Only those people knew the address of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion at that time. He has never told Uncle Lan about it. You don't need to ask about this. I also know that with the Jade Sword, 2 people can go. Of the 2 people sent by your stellar tower, I think only you and Li Er will go. It'll be very beneficial for you if Li Er goes. Uncle Lan says indifferently. Qin Yu is extremely shocked in his heart. Uncle Lan, Li Er can protect herself. Don't worry. Li Er is protected by my clan's magic treasure. As long as it's not a celestial immortal level expert, they won't be able to hurt her. You just need to take care of yourself. Uncle Lan says directly. Chapter 192. In the back garden of Prince Yu's mansion in the capital of the Qin dynasty, there is a huge pavilion. It is Lei Mountain House. In the crafting room on the first floor of Lei Mountain House, Qin Yu is sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, motionless. In front of him is the huge 8 trigrams furnace. Deep cyan flames are burning in the 8 trigrams furnace, making the whole crafting room hot. Only Qin Yu's side is still very cool. On the right side of Qin Yu is a pile of crystals. There are at least 100 of them, and all of them are top-grade crystals. Qin Yu opens his eyes and takes a look at the pile of crystals. His eyes are full of smiles. Master is really too much. He has more than half of the storeroom full of all kinds of top-grade crystals. But he told me to lift the restriction only after I reached the core star stage. In the storeroom of Lei Mountain House, more than half of the storeroom was filled with top-grade crystal stones. The number of top-grade crystal stones was astonishing. There were at least 10,000 of them. Qin Yu has always coveted them. Qin Yu didn't have the right to use them until he passed the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation and reached the core star stage. In the past, I always complained that I didn't have enough top-grade crystals, so I couldn't forge holy weapons that were too good. Now that I have so many top-grade crystals, I should be able to forge a top-notch top-grade holy weapon. Qin Yu mutters. The stellar transformations absorbs the power of the sun, the moon and the stars, so it is innately blazing. The stellar fire is light cyan at the beginning. It should be known that the fire of ordinary Xiaoxianists and Xiamoists is light red at the beginning. From light red, red, deep red, then light cyan, cyan and deep cyan. These 6 stages correspond to Jin Dan, Yuanying, Dongshu, Kongming, Dujie and Desheng respectively. Qin Yu's stellar fire is due to the uniqueness of the stellar transformations technique. At the nebula stage, it was light cyan. Qin Yu had reached the level of a deep cyan true fire. However, the difference between light cyan, cyan, and deep cyan true fire was actually not that great if one used their spiritual sense to discern it. Lu Xing's early stage, Lu Xing's middle stage, and Lu Xing's late stage were all known as cyan flames. In fact, the cyan flames would gradually deepen. When one reached the late stage of Lu Xing and the early stage of the core realm, the cyan flames would only deepen slightly. The boundary between cyan and dark cyan, as well as the word dark, was actually blurry. Nebula stage, Lu Xing stage, star core stage, planet stage, tribulation stage, star stage. The star real fire corresponded to light cyan, cyan, dark cyan, light purple, purple, and dark purple respectively. This was also the reason why Qin Yu's master Lei Wei dared to say that he was the #1 refining expert in the world of self-cultivators. After all, the true fire in his body was several levels higher than that of ordinary self-cultivators. Supreme-grade spirit weapon. Can it still be called a supreme-grade spirit weapon in the past? Qin Yu laughed at himself. Immediately, he waved one hand, and the golden power of the stars shot out, piercing into several holes at the edge of the 8 trigrams furnace. Then, Qin Yu made several hand seals with both hands, and smashed them at the 8 trigrams furnace. Immediately, the 8 trigrams furnace lit up. Chi. The deep cyan flames in the 8 trigrams furnace actually contained a trace of light purple. Qin Yu's face had a trace of a smile. It was precisely because he had so many crystals of the highest quality that Qin Yu dared to use such a method to refine. With a trace of the light cyan flames, the burning power of the weapon was much stronger. In the past, 2 or 3 crystals of the highest quality could be used to refine a supreme-grade spirit weapon. But now, it was estimated that dozens of crystals of the highest quality would be barely enough. Qin Yu waved his hand, and 6 crystals of different colors flew out from the pile of crystals beside him. Then, they formed a hexagonal shape and flew to the top of the 8 trigrams furnace. Under the burning of the true fire wrapped in a trace of light purple flames, the 6 crystals of the highest quality shrank rapidly. After a while they turned into 6 small lumps. Qin Yu waved one hand repeatedly, and 16 scarlet crystals of the highest quality flew out, wrapping around one of the lumps above the 8 trigrams furnace. Then, Qin Yu waved his hand again, and another 16 golden crystals of the highest quality flew out, wrapping around another small lump. Scarlet, golden, cyan, azure blue, earthy gray and black. Each lump was wrapped by 16 crystals of the highest quality. Then, Qin Yu's expression turned solemn. He made several hundred hand seals in succession, and all the talismans on the surface of the 8 trigrams furnace lit up. Black essence combine! Qin Yu utters a low shout. The several hundred hand seals turn into a mass of illusory light, which envelopes those top-grade crystals in an instant. Being slowly burned by a faint purple flame, those hand seals and the crystals undergo some special changes, as if they have fused together. End of B10C9. Using the energy of the 5 elements as the foundation and darkness as the main element, I don't know if it will succeed. Qin Yu didn't have much confidence at the moment. Once the refinement was successful, He Yuan could transform into all kinds of weapons. It could be hard or soft, and it could change into thousands of forms. However, according to Lei Wei's description, the success rate of the refinement was relatively low, only about 1/3. Moreover, it required a large number of the highest quality crystals of the 5 elements. Who could afford it? Moreover, if it failed once, the loss would be too great. After a long time, a mass of black liquid was constantly rolling above the 8 trigrams furnace. It's done! Qin Yu was overjoyed. The black essence has been completed. This weapon is naturally easy. The refining process of the black essence was the most important. If it failed, then the 5 elements would be unbalanced, and an explosion would occur. The 100 pieces of the highest quality crystals would be completely wasted. It wasn't something that could be melted and refined again after the refining process. Once the black essence, which was the black liquid, was successfully refined, the spirit weapon could naturally be easily refined. From now on, Qin Yu would no longer use a simple flying sword. His weapon was an ever-changing black weapon. After going through many processes, the black essence could finally transform into a flying sword, a glove, a long spear, or a huge axe. It could transform into all kinds of weapons. Although the black origin was as sharp as an ordinary supreme-grade spirit weapon, other supreme-grade spirit weapons consumed 1 or 2 supreme-grade crystals, but the black origin consumed 100 supreme-grade crystals. The only difference was that it had an additional transformation function. There was still half a year before the gathering day on the Golden Tree Island. This day, under the blessings of Ho Fei, Kuro, their father, eldest brother, second brother, and Uncle Lan, Qin Yu and Li Er left the Qianlong continent and flew towards the south at an extremely fast speed. This time they were going to the chaotic astral ocean, which was extremely far away. Li Er flew easily in the air, her long hair fluttering in the wind. Qin Yu stood on a black cloud and flew at an extremely fast speed. Big brother Qin Yu, Your black cloud is really strange. Li Er exclaimed. With a thought, Qin Yu turned the black cloud into a black flying sword. Qin Yu stepped on the flying sword and flew up. Hey, big brother Qin Yu, you refined this weapon in Lei Mountain House? It's really rare. I've never seen other Xiationists use this kind of weapon. How did you refine it? Li Er was surprised. Qin Yu said with a smile, this is a secret method of my sect. I use 100 pieces of the highest quality crystals to refine it successfully. However, after refining it successfully, it can transform into all kinds of weapons. 100 pieces of the highest quality crystals? Li Er shook her head. It doesn't seem worth it to refine it with so many of the highest quality crystals. Li Er, you're wrong. It can transform into all kinds of weapons. Why do you say it's not worth it? Qin Yu said with a smile. He was very fond of his new weapon. Li Er said with a bright smile. Big brother Qin Yu, nearly 100 pieces of the highest quality crystals can be refined into dozens of the highest quality spirit weapons. With so many of them, what kind of spirit weapons can't you refine? If you drip your blood on so many spirit weapons at once, won't you be able to choose any kind of weapon you want to use in the future? You don't have to go through so much trouble to transform it. Qin Yu was stunned. It seemed to be true. He could drip his blood on more than a dozen of the highest quality spirit weapons at once. After all, it was not a big deal to just have them recognize him as their master. He could use whatever he wanted in the future. However, this black origin can transform into all kinds of weapons. If you see some weapons you've never seen before in the future, you can also transform into them. Well, it's not a waste to refine this black origin. Li Er comforted Qin Yu again. Qin Yu didn't care. In fact, he didn't like to have so many spirit weapons. This one was enough for him. It's a pity that the black origin's toughness and sharpness are only so strong. It would be great if it could reach the level of an immortal weapon. Qin Yu was daydreaming at the moment. It was too difficult to have the ability to transform toughness and sharpness to an extremely high level. It was already very difficult for the black origin to reach the level of a highest quality spirit weapon. Qin Yu, who had reached the early stage of the core realm, was much faster than Lu Xing, who was at the late stage. Although the distance between the Hidden Dragon Continent and the Golden Tree Island was close to 200 million li, Qin Yu and Li Er flew easily all the way and didn't rush. They calculated well and arrived at the Golden Tree Island in exactly half a year. Looking from afar, the entire Golden Tree Island was golden, like a piece of gold in the ocean. After flying close, they discovered that the entire Golden Tree Island was covered with a kind of peculiar ancient tree. The ancient tree was very short, generally less than 10 m tall, but it was very thick, about 8 to 9 m thick. Its trunk was golden, and so were its leaves. It was called the Golden Tree. There were such trees everywhere on the Golden Tree Island. The ground was covered with green grass. However, looking from the sky, most of the area was covered by the luxuriant branches and leaves of the golden tree. Naturally, the ground of the green grass could not be seen. At the moment, beside the ancient teleportation formation in the center of the Golden Tree Island, the representatives of the Penglai Immortal Region, the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon, the Blue Dragon Temple, and the Blue River Province have all arrived. Azure Dragon Yin Lang was sitting with legs crossed on the grass. There were 3 yellow-clad men behind him. Tung Shan, however, did not come. Old Freak Three-Eyed was also sitting with legs crossed. His long green hair even reached the ground. There was only a green-clad girl behind him. The Penglai Immortal Region unexpectedly only sent one representative, Reverend Yen Su. 4 representatives of the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon had come, including Ida, Situ Shui, Jiao Jiao, and a black-haired old man. Brother Qin Yu, why have you only arrived now? As soon as Azure Dragon sees Qin Yu flying over, he immediately welcomes him smilingly. Qin Yu and Li Er landed on the green grass. Big brother Azure Dragon, it seems I'm not late. That Yen Mo guy seems not to have arrived yet. Qin Yu takes a look at the other people. Suddenly, a faint smile appears on the corners of his mouth. He has found some fun places. I'm right behind you. Yen Mo's voice rises. Everybody looks up at the sky. They see him standing on a black cloud. There are two women behind him, one white and the other red. One of them was a woman with a white fur coat, and the other was a woman with a red fur coat. However, both of them had used illusions to cover their beast heads. Yen-mo, I remember you said 4 people would come. How come only 3 have come? Ida stands up and says. Yen-mo says smilingly. Originally I wanted Hong Luan and Long Yen to come together. Too bad Long Yen still hasn't sensed his 6 in 9 heavenly tribulations, so I had no choice but to let him stay in the wilderness. Old Freak Three-Eyed suddenly stands up. Now that everybody has arrived, let's not waste any more time. Let's go straight into the chaotic astral ocean according to that map, and go to the bottom of the ocean to open that 9 Swords immortal mansion. Old Freak Three-Eyed looks around at everybody and says coldly, Don't worry, don't worry. Yen-mo says smilingly. Before we set off, let's make things clear. The first thing is, even though it's only a journey of 10,000 li into the chaotic astral ocean, if we run into any fairy-beasts, we definitely can't run away. Of course. Old Freak Three-Eyed is the first to respond. The others also nod. Yen-mo continues. The second thing is about the treasures in this immortal mansion. According to the original rule, if there are 9 treasures in this immortal mansion, they can be distributed according to the proportion of jade swords owned. If they can't be distributed, for example, there's only 1 treasure, then, humph, everyone has to rely on their own ability. Needless to say, Ida says with a cold humph. The others do not object. In the Xiozhen world, the strong are respected. If they can't distribute the treasures, naturally they will snatch them. When the time comes, it will depend on their own skills. Very good, then let's set off. Yen-mo is very satisfied with everybody's reaction. He then takes the lead to fly up. Reverend Yen-su, Ida, Old Freak Three-Eyed, and the others also fly away from the Golden Tree Island with their subordinates. They look at Yen-mo flying ahead. Situ Shui and Jiao Jiao exchange a look, then give a cold humph. Reverend Yen-su, who is flying on one side, takes a look at Situ Shui and Jiao Jiao. His eyes flash with coldness. This journey of opening the 9 Swords immortal mansion is definitely not as simple as imagined. Chapter 193. Reverend Yen-su is the only Xiuxianist, but there are 4 Xiamoists. Everybody on the scene knows that Xiuxianists and Xiamoists are hostile to each other, whether on the Tung-Long continent, the Penglai immortal region, or the Purple Flame Devilish dungeon. Everybody is flying, but Qin Yu and Li Er are watching the show with a smile. Yen-su, nobody knows how many immortal weapons there are in this 9 Swords immortal mansion. It's very unlikely that there are multiple of 9. When the time comes, we'll have to fight for them. Can you do it alone? Jiao Jiao says with a teasing smile. Jiao Jiao comes from the Yenma school. Xiamoists are free and do not care about killing. The Yenma school is even famous among Xiamoist schools for being bloodthirsty and arrogant, so it is not strange for Jiao Jiao to be like this. Yen-su gives an indifferent smile. The 9 Swords immortal mansion was left behind by an immortal. Last time, based on the place where the 9th jade sword was hidden, we've already determined that this immortal was at least of the great principal golden immortal level. The treasures left behind by such an expert are God's gifts to us. Whoever can get the treasures will have to depend on their own luck. It's not as simple as having more people in power. You're so smug. Jiao Jiao says disdainfully. If Xiuxianists pay attention to manners and etiquette, Xiamoists are mostly free and unrestrained. Jiao Jiao, don't be rude to Reverend Yen-su. You're wrong to say that about him. Situ Shui helps Yen-su instead. Jiao Jiao, could it be that Reverend Yen-su doesn't want the treasures? Could it be that he doesn't want more people? But he can't do anything about it. After all, the Penglai immortal region only has 1 jade sword, so only 2 people can come here. Given the relationship between the Xiang school and the Lanyang school, perhaps neither of them wants to give in. In the end, only Yen-su can come here. It's not that Reverend Yen-su doesn't want to. It's just that he can't. Situ Shui sighs. Yen-su does not take it seriously at all. He looks at Jiao Jiao and Situ Shui with a clear and cold look in his eyes. Gentlemen, Please don't talk nonsense here. Who doesn't know the dangers of the chaotic astral ocean? Even though that Nine Swords Immortal Mansion is only 10,000 li away from the border of the chaotic astral ocean, who knows what kind of fairy beasts will appear within this distance? Humph humph. Not to mention the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. Those who are not strong enough may be killed by ferocious beasts before they even reach the Immortal Mansion. Look at the people around you. The two of you are really not very powerful. It's better to be careful. Reverend Yin Su's words are very sharp. Looking at Reverend Yin Su's smile, it seems to be a smile of disdain. Jiao Jiao and Situ Shui snorted coldly and said nothing more. At this moment, everyone was flying very slowly. In fact, the Golden Tree Island was very close to the border of the chaotic astral ocean. If they flew at full speed, they would be able to reach the chaotic astral ocean in a short while. However, everyone was very careful. The chaotic astral ocean was notorious for its ferocious nature, and no one wanted to die in the belly of the chaotic astral ocean's ferocious beasts before seeing the Immortal Mansion. A majestic aura that blotted out the sky and covered the earth rushed over. From afar, the terrifying sound of the waves was like the rumbling of thousands of heavenly thunders. At this moment, everyone could clearly hear that 100 miles away, the huge waves were surging into the sky, while the sea below them was very calm. Everyone knew that the chaotic astral ocean was 100 li away. Everyone. Yenemo looked around at everybody with a solemn expression, saying, "We're not far from the border of the chaotic astral ocean. We'll arrive very soon. But before we enter, I must tell you one thing. If you run into ferocious beasts, don't run away with all your might." His eyes were cold. "I'll be alone. Ida, Azure Dragon, and I will be in the front. Reverend Yin Su and Three-Eyed will be in the rear. The others will be in the middle. If any demonic beast appears in the front, Ida, Azure Dragon, and I will get into action. If it's in the rear, Reverend Yin Su and Three-Eyed will get into action. The others had better not take advantage of the situation. If we can't beat it, we'll run for our lives right away. Ida, Azure Dragon, Reverend Yin Su, Three-Eyed. Do you have any objections?" Yenemo seemed to be the leader of the group. Azure Dragon slightly shakes his head saying, "Of course not. This chaotic astral ocean is mine. Even though it's only the border, I still feel a bit worried. We'll be a bit safer in the front. If we're disbanded, perhaps we'll be in chaos as soon as the ferocious beasts come." "I have no objections," Ida says coldly. Reverend Yen Su also nods smilingly. "Brother Yenemo, this is for everybody's sake." Seeing old freak Three-Eyed nod, Yenemo says loudly, "All right, now that the four of you have agreed, the others probably won't mind either. There is no need to consider this. Who would object to having experts block the front and protect the rear? Remember the formation. Ida, Azure Dragon and I are in the front. Reverend Yin Su and Three-Eyed are in the rear. The others can't fly ahead or behind. They can only stay in the middle." Yenemo orders strictly. At this time they must make a decision. Otherwise, if they do not follow the rules, they will probably be in trouble if they run into ferocious beasts. Seeing everybody nod, Yenemo says with a loud laugh, "Very good. Now that everybody has agreed, let's get ready to enter the chaotic astral ocean. Let's go." Yenemo, Ida and Azure Dragon are the leaders. Reverend Yin Su and Old Freak Three-Eyed are the last, and the others are in the middle. Thus, this group of people starts to fly towards the chaotic astral ocean. Even these so-called top figures of the north of the chaotic astral ocean have never entered the chaotic astral ocean before. This time, if not for the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, if not for the fact that the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion is just 10,000 li away from the border of the chaotic astral ocean, who would have dared to come here? Wow! Everybody cries out in surprise. All of them are in high spirits. It's really spectacular. Chinyu's eyes also brighten. When they get close to the chaotic astral ocean, everybody sees an unbelievable spectacle. At the moment, several li away from them, endless billows rise to a height of 100 m. Looking south, these hurricanes and billows are simply boundless. Using the area several li away as the boundary, the south is full of endless billows and hurricanes. However, north of that boundary, The water is very calm and undisturbed. It is very strange. Extremely strange. On one side of the ocean there are huge billows of 100 m, while on the other side there are no ripples. It is as if there is a huge invisible membrane between these two bodies of water, separating them completely. The two bodies of water seem to be in different worlds. Heaven and earth are so mysterious. Such a spectacle is simply incomprehensible. The way of heaven is vague and vast. Even if we spend 10 million years, perhaps we'll only be able to glimpse a corner of heaven and earth. Reverend Yen Su says with a sigh, "Who can explain the mysteries of heaven and earth?" Qin Yu, however, remembers what Uncle Lon said at that time. Uncle Lon said that it is not a restrictive membrane, but a kind of invisible law of heaven and earth. At least now Qin Yu is still unable to understand it. Even Uncle Lon may only call it a law of heaven and earth. As for understanding it, perhaps he has very little understanding of it. Understanding the law of heaven and earth. What kind of level is that? Qin Yu secretly sighs. Be careful, everybody. As soon as we enter the chaotic astral ocean, the holy energy of heaven and earth will become extremely turbulent. At the same time, people with unstable minds will also become agitated. You must keep your minds clear while flying extremely fast towards that 9 swords immortal mansion. Reverend Yen Su reminds them in a clear voice. Everybody nods. In the chaotic astral ocean, not only are there hurricanes and billows, the holy energy of heaven and earth is also extremely turbulent. In the chaotic astral ocean, ordinary people will feel agitated and irritable. If their minds are unstable, they will easily suffer from energy deviation and become extremely crazy. According to speculation, the reason why fairy beasts have low intelligence and become violent and bloodthirsty is probably because of the influence of this kind of environment. When a newly born aquatic animal is ignorant and has low intelligence, it will naturally become irritable and crazy under the influence of the environment. It has been like this since childhood. If this continues, it will naturally become a so-called fairy beast. Every place has its own people. This chaotic astral ocean has also produced special fairy beasts. Everybody flies into the sky of the chaotic astral ocean from the sky above the calm ocean. Everybody feels a strange change. The density of the spiritual aura had increased by dozens of times, but at the same time, it was extremely chaotic. If the spiritual aura in the Qianlong continent and other places was like a docile rabbit, then the spiritual aura here was very chaotic. If the chaotic astral ocean is like the tame rabbit forest, then the holy energy here is like an angry gorilla, affecting everybody's state of mind. Those with chaotic, irritable, and unstable minds will naturally be affected. Keep your minds clear and fly extremely fast towards the 9 swords immortal mansion. Reverend Yen Su's voice suddenly rises in everybody's minds via holy sense communication. Immediately, those who were affected just now wake up. When they wake up, they feel shocked too. This chaotic astral ocean really deserves its reputation. Qin Yu takes a deep breath. Just now he was also somewhat affected, but because his mind is firm, he withstands it easily. Hearing Reverend Yen Su's voice, everybody speeds up at once. They all fly extremely fast towards the 9 swords immortal mansion. Big brother Qin Yu, this place is a good place to temper one's mind and purify one's power. Moreover, I feel that the closer to the center of the chaotic astral ocean, the more vigorous and violent the holy energy is. No wonder so many loose immortals, loose demons and loose devils have gathered in the chaotic astral ocean. Li Er says smilingly to Qin Yu through holy sense communication. Indeed, staying in such an environment for a long time, one's mind must be very firm. Moreover, one's power will become even purer under the tempering of the chaotic holy energy. Qin Yu also agrees with this point of view. Li Er suddenly says curiously, Big brother Qin Yu, I haven't seen that fairy beast yet. What does it look like? Fairy beast, I hope it's better not to see it. Qin Yu is not as curious as Li Er. Everybody's speed is very fast. During the time when Qin Yu and Li Er are talking, only about a minute has passed, but they have already traveled 1,000 li. However, at this moment, their good luck seems to have run out. Everybody hopes that the fairy beast will not appear, but it still appears. A huge silhouette appears in the surging waves. A shark over 100 m long. Only this shark's eyes are blood red, and it naturally radiates a tyrannical aura. No, as it gets closer, everybody discovers that it cannot be simply called a shark, because there are unexpectedly two sharp claws hidden under its fins. Roar! The shark utters a heaven-shaking strange cry. Its blood-red eyes stare at everybody. Obviously it has already locked onto them. That shark's speed increases by several times in an instant, and it rushes straight at them. Be careful, it's a fairy beast. Yenmo's voice rises in everybody's mind. Don't run around randomly. Fairy beasts are generally close to divine beasts, and have extremely powerful attacks. Don't be careless. Azure Dragon Ida, let's go. Holy Sense communication is only a thought, so it is very fast. As soon as the Holy Sense transmissions rise in everybody's mind, Azure Dragon, Ida and Yenmo rush towards that fairy beast shark. As for the others, of course they won't take advantage of the situation. Judging from its aura alone, this fairy beast is definitely not an ordinary fairy beast. Azure Dragon rushes to the front. His arms suddenly become thicker, and at the same time they are covered with blue scales. His hands have already turned into a pair of dragon claws. The dire beast shark opened its big mouth, revealing its sharp teeth. Everyone believed that even if it was a top-grade spirit weapon, it would still be able to bite it. The fairy beast shark is extremely fast, and its trajectory is very mysterious. Growing up in the chaotic astral ocean from childhood, this fairy beast's fighting ability is very strong. Azure Dragon's body turns into an arc and arrives directly under the shark. He is about to use his dragon claws to attack its abdomen. Clang! A sharp claw under the fairy beast shark's fin suddenly stretches out and directly grabs Azure Dragon. Azure Dragon wants to get rid of it, but in such a short distance, he unexpectedly does not have enough time. In the end, his human-shaped dragon claws and the shark claws collide. Azure Dragon flies backwards. The shark, however, utters a roar and becomes even more brutal. Haha, Azure Dragon Yin Lang, you're really too weak. Watch me. Yenmo says through his holy sense, then immediately charges at the fairy beast shark. Yenmo, don't be careless. There isn't much difference between a fairy beast and a divine beast of the same level. Besides, fairy beasts have stronger fighting instincts. Azure Dragon reminds him at once. He has fought against the fairy beast shark once, so naturally he is aware of its power. A heart-palpitating sound is heard, as if a blade is being carved on glass. It is the result of the wrestling between Ida's right hand and the fairy beast shark's fin. As a result, Ida's right hand is cut and blood drips down. But right afterwards, Yenmo unexpectedly has a head-on collision with that fairy beast shark in his human form. After a series of loud explosions, both Yenmo and the fairy beast shark slightly pause. They seem to be evenly matched. That fairy beast shark is enraged. It immediately utters a furious roar and opens its big mouth, wanting to bite Yenmo to pieces. Hiss! A huge azure dragon suddenly appears. Its claw grabs the body of the fairy beast shark, which has no time to react. A huge wound immediately appears on its body, from which blood flows out. The fairy beast shark roars furiously and fiercely whips its tail on Azure Dragon's body. Azure Dragon dodges very fast, but the tail still hits the edge of his body. Several of his scales are shattered. His blood is dyed red and drops into the sea. Azure Dragon, let me kill him. Yenmo is furious. Yenmo immediately transforms into his true form, which is a black dragon whose body is almost the same as Azure Dragon's. The only difference is that this black dragon's eyes are blood red. This is none other than a divine beast black dragon, which is an extremely formidable dragon, even among the dragon clan. Poochie, blood splatters. Large chunks of flesh and blood fall into the sea. That fairy beast shark is directly split into two and dies on the spot. Yenmo transforms into his human form in an instant. Holding a nidin in his hand, he says with an ice-cold face, "An early Kongming fairy beast wants to deal with me? You're courting death." Early Kongming fairy beasts are not much different from early Kongming divine beasts. At the beginning, Azure Dragon did not transform into his true form, so he did not display his full power. Naturally, he was at a disadvantage. After Yen Mo transformed into his true form, he was killed in one strike. However, everybody has never been to the chaotic astral ocean, so they do not know some taboos there. The smell of blood, especially the smell of blood from non-fera beasts, which will make the fera beasts in the surroundings go crazy. Just now, both Azure Dragon and Ida shed blood, but they do not know about this taboo. Therefore, Chapter 194. Yen Mo, Azure Dragon and Ida get into action. After several rounds of attacks, that fera beast shark is directly cut into two halves, killing it on the spot. The others also secretly let out a sigh of relief. Brother Yen Mo is really powerful. You killed this fera beast so easily, Jiao Jiao says with a praising expression. Situ Shui, however, says, Jiao Jiao, could it be you don't know that in the dragon clan, black dragons are absolutely the best in terms of attack power? Only golden dragons are a bit better than them. Black dragons of the same level are much more powerful than Azure dragons. Yen Mo takes a cold look at these two people, then says via holy sense communication, don't waste time talking nonsense here. This is the chaotic astral ocean. Everybody, hurry up and go to the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. Qin Yu also takes a look at Situ Shui and Jiao Jiao, secretly thinking that these two people are too insensible. At the moment, everybody is in the chaotic astral ocean, which is full of dangers. The longer they stay, the more dangerous it will be. Perhaps some fera beasts will appear in a while. Everybody immediately moves forward at high speed. Like a sharp arrow, like a rainbow. Everybody is shuttling back and forth among the hurricanes and billows like lightning. All of them, with their robes fluttering and their long hair fluttering, really look like immortals in the eyes of mortals. If somebody's holy sense can cover an area of several tens of thousands li, he will discover that fera beasts within this area are all rushing extremely fast towards the place where Azure Dragon and Ida's group are staying, with red eyes, as if they have been summoned by something. The weaker fera beasts are equivalent to Jin Dan at the Yuanying stage, but the stronger ones are even weaker than Yen Mo. A group of fera beasts within several tens of thousands li are all rushing over. Unfortunately, at the moment Yen Mo and the others simply don't know about this. In the front, Yen Mo, Ida and Azure Dragon have solemn expressions. Their holy senses are spread out and their spirits are highly concentrated. The three of them are the vanguard of everybody, riding the wind and breaking the waves. But they also spread out their holy senses at the same time, not daring to be the least bit careless. They have been flying for about 2 to 3 minutes. No good. Ida's face changes color greatly. In terms of soul level, Ida is even a level higher than Yen Mo. Only because Yen Mo is a divine beast, Ida is no match for him. At the moment, he discovers that fera beasts in the distance are already attacking everybody. They are fera beasts, no, a group of fera beasts. Be careful, everybody, Ida said through holy sense communication. He seemed to be nervous. Immediately afterwards, Reverend Yen Su discovers something. Yen Mo and Azure Dragon also discover something in an instant. In the beginning, they thought that there were only 3 fera beasts chasing after them. But in just a while, they discover that fera beasts are coming from all directions. Dire beast horde. The ferocious beasts looked strange, like sharks, octopuses and other mutated ferocious beasts. The difference between their mutations was that their attack power had been increased. The dire beasts also had another characteristic. Their eyes were blood red. It's a herd of ferocious beasts. Don't worry too much. Hurry up, hurry up. Don't try to kill all the ferocious beasts. Let's rush straight ahead. Let's get to the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion first. Yen Mo's holy sense message sounded like thunder in everyone's mind. It is easy to imagine how anxious Yen Mo is at the moment, because his holy sense is so loud. Charge! Azure Dragon also roared. Charge! Ida's face is cold, but there is also a hint of fierceness in his eyes. Facing a group of ferocious beasts, no one dared to kill them one by one. After all, this was the chaotic astral ocean. If a Dujia stage ferocious beast were to appear at any time, perhaps everyone would be in trouble. Li Er, be careful. Qin Yu looks at Li Er and says through his holy sense. Li Er suddenly reaches out her hand to hold Qin Yu's hand, then stares into Qin Yu's eyes, saying through her holy sense, "You have to be careful too." Qin Yu nods. Li Er has a protective magic treasure, so her defensive power is much stronger than Qin Yu's. Moreover, Li Er's divine walking technique is much faster than Li Er's. Even though Li Er's power is very little, once she uses it, even though Qin Yu's power has increased greatly, his speed will still be far inferior to Li Er's, even if he is riding Black Origin. Fast speed and high defense. Li Er is instead the safest. Growl, screech, howl. Strange sounds resound in the world. Numerous pairs of blood-red eyes also appear. The sky is also dusky. Black clouds cover the entire sky, making it look like the end of the world. Boom! Thunder suddenly rumbles in the sky. Lightning zigzags down from the sky. At the same time, torrential rain starts to fall. Endless hurricanes, sky-soaring waves, sky-filling dark clouds, boundless rainstorm. Numerous pairs of blood-red eyes stare at everyone. For some reason, these ferocious beasts unexpectedly do not attack them immediately. Instead, they pause for a while, facing several tens of blood-red-eyed ferocious beasts in front of them. Everyone cannot help but slow down. Charge with me. Yen Mo's voice rises in everyone's mind. Immediately, Yen Mo, Ida and Azure Dragon take the lead and make a slight detour. The others do not hesitate. One by one, they follow closely behind Yen Mo and the others. Everyone tries in vain to make a detour around the herd of ferocious beasts in front of them. But, the moment they make a detour, those several tens of ferocious beasts suddenly move. Like thunder, they charge at them. Just as they are about to charge, 10 odd more ferocious beasts come charging from the rear and the left. There's nowhere to hide. Let's charge straight to the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Don't get caught up in fighting. As soon as Yen Mo's voice rises, his body immediately transforms into a huge black dragon. This black dragon also has blood-red eyes. Perhaps an ignorant person might even think that this black dragon is also a ferocious beast. At the same time, an azure dragon also appears. Both Yen Mo and Azure Dragon Yenlang have changed into their true forms. At this moment, they can no longer hide their strength. They can see that the strongest of these ferocious beasts is only as strong as the shark from a moment ago. But there are so many of them. Poof, blood splashes out. An arm-thick but 10-odd m long swordfish is directly torn into 2 halves by the black dragon. The black dragon takes the lead and charges straight ahead. The black dragon, and Ida assist him on both sides. Charge and kill. In a breath's time, the surroundings are filled with seawater and blood. There is blood of ferocious beasts as well as human blood. Everybody charges and kills in the crowd of ferocious beasts. Naturally, Situ Shui, Jiao Jiao and Qin Yu, who are in the middle, are also attacked. The ferocious beasts are not afraid of death. They charge at everybody with blood-red eyes. That brutal killing intent is so crazy. Crazy, brutal and bloodthirsty. A black beam of light flashes for a while. A huge ferocious beast is directly divided into several parts. Qin Yu, whose body is wrapped in a black suit of armor, is holding a Niden in his hand. Qin Yu directly puts the Niden into his spatial ring. This black suit of armor is none other than Hei Yuan. Hei Yuan is refined from the essence of 100 top-grade crystals and can change into any shape. Advance. Advance. Advance recklessly. After nearly 3 minutes of killing, luckily there are experts protecting them from the front and the back. Those in the middle who are slightly weaker are not seriously attacked and only suffer flesh wounds. Yen Mo, Azure Dragon and Ida, who are in the lead, have killed the most ferocious beasts. They also suffer some minor injuries. After 3 minutes of charging and killing, there are about 70 to 80 ferocious beasts in all directions. Everybody has killed 10 odd and injured 34, but the others have not touched them. Hurry up. The ferocious beasts at the border are not very strong. Hurry up. If we are late, some ferocious beasts will come, and it will be too late. Yen Mo shouts through his holy sense. At the same time, he speeds up. Everybody also speeds up to the limit. The weak ones are like Old Freak Three-Eyed's maids. Old Freak Three-Eyed directly grabs them and flies. He does everything possible to increase his speed. Everybody has already sensed the terrors of the chaotic astral ocean. It has only been a few minutes since they entered. The total power of the ferocious beasts they have encountered is about the same as theirs. If they really fight recklessly, many of them will definitely die. Shuttling back and forth in the billows, the blood on everybody's bodies is also washed clean. 1,000 li away, a black phantom rushes extremely fast in the direction of everybody. It is much faster than those ferocious beasts just now. Wherever it goes, the billows get out of its way. In just a while, Yenemo sees a phantom in the distance. His face changes color greatly. Ida's and Azure Dragon's faces also change color greatly. They have just sensed the aura of that ferocious beast, and have not even found out its power level, when it has already appeared in the range of their eyes. Watch out! Yenemo only has time to warn them using his holy sense. Immediately afterwards, he charges at that phantom in his black dragon form. Just now Yenemo, Ida and Azure Dragon's companions have already noticed the phantom's speed. Even Yenemo is much slower than it. Therefore, nobody can escape from it, and can only fight it head-on. Using the black dragon's divine body, Yenemo tries in vain to defeat this phantom. Ida, Azure Dragon, Reverend Yin Su, Old Freak Three-Eyed, Qin Yu and more than 10 others do not get into action because they are not sure. A series of explosions rise. At the same time, the billows around them are sent flying in all directions by the shockwaves. Even the water droplets that have been sent flying are shot extremely fast in all directions like hidden weapons. When those water droplets reach the bodies of Ida, Qin Yu and the others, they immediately shatter. In an instant, that black phantom and the black dragon separate. Now everybody finally sees the true appearance of that black phantom. It is a huge black crab that is more than 10 m tall. Its black slender legs are obviously very slender and powerful. Those two huge pincers are even extremely sharp. Every piece of this crab's armor is shiny black. As for its defensive ability, nobody doubts it because just now this black crab and the black dragon had a big fight. During the momentary fight, a several-meter-long wound appeared on the black dragon's body. Its dragon scales were shattered and blood flowed out from the wound. However, that black crab only has a white mark on its armor, but is not damaged at all. Needless to say, it is very powerful. It's a Dujistage Pharaoh beast, a bit more powerful than me. Others don't try to attack it in vain. Given its defensive ability, you simply won't be able to break its defense. All of you, charge towards the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. Yenemo uses Holy Sense communication directly. As soon as they fight, Yenemo knows that this black crab is even a bit more powerful than him. It is definitely a Dujistage Pharaoh beast. Suddenly, that huge black crab moves. Facing the black dragon with its body, it charges at him horizontally. Its blood-red eyes are very small, but even so, they are like bright blood-red stars, gloomy and ice-cold. With another series of rumbles, the black crab and the black dragon charge at each other. Both of them are far more powerful than everybody else, so the speed of their fight is so fast that everybody feels that the dragon and the crab have become illusions again. Don't waste time. Charge! Ida shouts using his holy sense. Immediately afterwards, he and Azure Dragon take the lead in charging towards the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. At the moment, they have no time to care about the black dragon. Given the black dragon's power, everybody else is of no use here. More than 10 people immediately charge towards the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. In just a while, a black illusion has overtaken everybody. This Pharaoh-beast crab is too formidable. We can't linger in battle. Let's run away as fast as we can. We'll talk about it after we get into the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. The black dragon's voice rises in everybody's mind. This black illusion is none other than the fleeing black dragon Yenemo. Everybody simply doesn't say anything superfluous and rushes straight towards the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. But how can the black Pharaoh beast crab possibly let them off? Only after they have flown for a few breaths of time does the crab appear again. The black dragon immediately roars furiously and fights the crab again, telling everybody to run a bit further away. In just a while the black dragon flees again. He keeps fighting the black crab time and time again, so that everybody can run a bit further away. However, Yenemo always avoids fighting and flees, so that he can fight again after a while. He wants to rely on this to reach the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion as soon as possible. However, after each fight, the black dragon's body is riddled with scars, and his huge body is covered with blood. His dragon scales are also broken in quite a few places. As for the black Farabeast crab, it has also suffered some injuries. For example, the silver protective scales on its abdomen have been torn into 2 pieces by the black dragon. In terms of divine beast ranks, Azure Dragon is only an ordinary divine beast, while the black dragon is on par with the 3 blue-eyed toad. Even though it is only a middle Kongming stage black dragon, it is equivalent to a late Kongming stage Azure Dragon. It is only a bit weaker than that Duji stage Farabeast crab. Hold on for a while longer. We'll almost arrive. Yenemo shouts through his holy sense. He was cheering for everyone, and also cheering for himself. If they really keep going like this, Yenemo can still reach the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion after suffering some injuries at most. However, Chinyu suddenly catches a glimpse of a black phantom rushing towards them extremely fast amidst the rolling waves in the distance. It is so fast that it is definitely not inferior to that black Farabeast crab of a moment ago. At the same time, Ida, Azure Dragon and the others have already discovered the black phantom. No good, it's another Farabeast crab. The black Farabeast crab in the front suddenly stops, blocking everybody's way. The black Farabeast crab in the back also chases after Black Dragon. Don't want to escape, you'll suffer death. A deep and resounding voice rises. However, it seems to say these words with great difficulty, one word at a time. Flying next to everybody, Black Dragon Yenemo looks at the 2 black Farabeast crabs in front and behind him. Farabeasts have low intelligence, but after reaching a very high level, their intelligence has increased a bit. These 2 Farabeast crabs should both be Duji stage Farabeasts. If there is only one of them, we can still barely escape, but 2 of them. Everybody, get ready to risk your lives. Yenmo's holy sense voice rises in everybody's mind. Facing 2 Duji stage Farabeasts in front and behind him, Ida, Azure Dragon, Situ Shui, Chinyu and the others all have somewhat unsightly expressions. At the same time, a hint of bloody light also appears in their eyes. They can only risk their lives. Chapter 195. There is a black Farabeast crab in the front, and a black Farabeast crab behind. These 2 Farabeasts are both extraordinarily powerful. Even if Black Dragon Yenemo gets into action, he is still a bit weaker than the Farabeast crab. This Black Dragon is pretty powerful. You were able to injure my younger brother. Now the black Farabeast crab in the front speaks a bit more coherently. Only now does everybody realize that these 2 Farabeast crabs, one in the front and one in the back, are unexpectedly brothers. Moreover, judging from the situation, this black Farabeast crab in the front is definitely not weaker than his younger brother, and may even be a bit stronger. This place is already not far from the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, only 1,000 li away. Everybody, run away as fast as you can. There are only 2 of them. They definitely won't be able to injure everybody. Let's run. Yenmo's voice rises in everybody's mind. Run. Who can run away will have to depend on their own abilities. Chinyu holds Li Er's hand very tightly. Li Er also holds Chinyu's hand in return, and says solemnly through her holy sense, Big brother Chinyu, let's go as fast as possible. Chinyu stares at that Farabeast in the front. The black light on his body circulates and leaves his body. The black origin immediately turns into a flying sword. Chinyu stands on the flying sword. The star core in his dantian emits golden star energy and fuses it with the flying sword. Li Er, activate your protective magic treasure. Don't let anything unexpected happen. As for me, don't worry. After reaching the star core stage, I've never used my full speed. Chinyu says with a chuckle. His eyes, which are staring at the black Farabeast crab, however, flash with a hint of fierceness. With a series of explosions in the air, everybody at the scene has used their fastest speed. All of them take different routes, either rushing straight towards the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, flying in a curve or shuttling underwater. Qin Yu's golden star energy is completely connected with the Black Origin flying sword, and every part of his body. His entire body turns into a golden rainbow and rushes extremely fast in the direction of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, leaving behind a graceful trajectory. Li Er, however, easily follows Qin Yu in just several steps as if she is taking a stroll. Black Dragon, prepare to die. The boss Black Farabeast Crab in the front then charges at Black Dragon Yin Mo. As for his younger brother, that Farabeast Crab number 2, who is at the rear, he is charging at the others. It seems all crabs are hostile to dragons. This Farabeast Crab number 2 unexpectedly charges at Azure Dragon Yin Lang directly. Azure Dragon immediately knows that the situation is bad. Roar! With a furious roar, Azure Dragon actually transformed into his human form. Facing the attack of the Black Ferocious Crab, he actually transformed into his human form, which had a weaker attack power. Set up the formation. Qinglong's expression was solemn. The 3 yellow-clothed men who had come with him immediately formed a tripartite formation and circled behind Qinglong immediately. The 3 yellow-clothed men began to emit rays of light. Dazzling light also appeared on Qinglong's hands. Everyone else was fleeing as fast as they could, only to hear an earth-shaking explosion. Both sides quickly retreated. Taking advantage of the recoil, Azure Dragon and the 3 yellow-clothed men fled at an even faster speed. The Black Ferocious Beast Crab, on the other hand, was forced back. By the time the Ferocious Beast Crab was about to give chase, Azure Dragon and the 3 yellow-clothed men were already dozens of miles away. With a roar, the Ferocious Crab madly chased after him. At the moment, Black Dragon Yin Mo is also fighting that big brother Ferocious Crab. This time Yin Mo has gone completely crazy, displaying his true power as a black dragon with an extremely high attack power in the Dragon Clan. Sharp dragon claws, a powerful dragon tail, as well as the unique skills of a black dragon. Black Dragon Yin Mo's blood-red eyes shine brightly, emitting various red rays of light, which unexpectedly merge with every part of his body. The injuries all over his body are unexpectedly healing at a visible speed. You prepare to die. Yin Mo also stares at Big Brother Black Ferocious Crab and shouts furiously. Big Brother Black Ferocious Crab is naturally furious. As a ferocious beast, how can it be afraid? Encountering such a formidable black dragon, it will only become even crazier. The Black Ferocious Crab turns its face upwards and roars furiously. Immediately afterwards, it charges at Yin Mo extremely fast. Fight! A bloody fight. This time, Yin Mo's speed is much faster. His body's recovery speed is also much faster. His defensive power is also much stronger. All of this is due to his blood-red eyes. His blood-red eyes are different from Ferocious Beast's eyes. They are the foundation of the Black Dragon Clan's formidability. Dragon scales shatter, crab scales fall off. Their blood stains the waves red. However, as the waves roll, the blood disappears in a while. Suddenly, Black Dragon Yin Mo unexpectedly rushes straight for the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion with a wave of his tail. This is because he knows very well that this time his purpose is to open the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, and not to fight a ferocious beast to the death here. Ferocious beasts like killing, but he does not. Qin Yu's speed is extremely fast, especially after riding his sword. He is even as fast as Ida's and Reverend Yin Su's. Li Er, of the 2 ferocious beasts, one is fighting Yin Mo, and the other is fighting Azure Dragon. The rest of us are a bit more relaxed. Now Qin Yu is slightly relaxed in his heart. If he were to fight the Black Ferocious Crab head-on, perhaps he would end up very miserably. Big Brother Qin Yu, that Azure Dragon and those 3 yellow-clad men seem to be very formidable. Who are those 3 yellow-clad men? They can unexpectedly form such a strange formation, and can even beat back that Black Ferocious Crab by joining forces. Li Er says in amazement. Qin Yu's holy sense has also discovered this scene. In terms of power, the Black Ferocious Crab is a Duja stage ferocious beast, and quite a few times more formidable than Azure Dragon. However, Azure Dragon has transformed into a human form and joined forces with the other 3 yellow-clad men to form a special formation to attack it. Could it be this is Azure Dragon's trump card? Qin raises his eyebrows. Who knows how many treasures there are in the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion? At that time it was said that it would be easy to distribute them, if they were multiples of 9. But is it really so coincidental? Moreover, even if it is so coincidental, perhaps once Yin Mo and the other experts become greedy, nobody will be able to stop them from killing and looting. It is very normal for them to fight for magic treasures in this immortal mansion. It was likely that every force had a trump card. Various extremely furious roars rise. After being beaten back several times by Azure Dragon, that black ferocious crab finally goes berserk. He unexpectedly stops following Azure Dragon's group of 4, and instead attacks the others. But at this moment, the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion is right below us. Let's dive down. Reverend Yen Su shouts loudly and dives down first. The others also rush down one after another. After going through this bloody battle, they finally reach the location of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. They immediately dive down to the bottom of the chaotic astral ocean. Poof! Along with a miserable cry, the green-clad woman brought by Old Freak Three-Eyed is directly crushed by one of the black Farabeast crab's slender claws. If the black Farabeast crab's 2 huge pincers are several meters thick, this slender claw is nearly half a meter thick. As for its length, it is more than 10 meters long. Old Freak Three-Eyed's face changes color, but he does not go to fight this ferocious crab. Instead, he dives down to the bottom of the ocean even faster. At this moment, it is not worth fighting a ferocious crab for a subordinate. Moreover, Old Freak Three-Eyed does not have enough power to fight this ferocious crab. Pung! Water splashes in all directions. Black Dragon Yinemo also dives into the water. He then swims extremely fast towards the bottom of the ocean. That big brother ferocious crab also chases after him. Only the Black Dragon, whose body has been fused with the blood-red light, has become much faster. Black Dragon Yinemo is very fast, really fast. In a while he catches up with Old Freak Three-Eyed, Reverend Yin Su, Qin Yu and the others. No good. Qin Yu's face changes color. He has already noticed that 2 ferocious crabs are coming at him from behind. Of course, these 2 ferocious crabs are not targeting Qin Yu alone. Instead they are targeting everybody. Perhaps that big brother crab is chasing after Qin Yu. All of them hurry on their way extremely fast. However, the divine beast Hong Wan, who has just overcome the 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation, is the slowest of them all. The black ferocious crab in the front immediately attacks Hong Wan. A loud noise is heard. Immediately afterwards, the water around them becomes boiling hot. Hong Wan is a divine beast under Yin Mo's command. Seeing Hong Wan covered in blood and flames, he immediately becomes furious. However, facing 2 Duja stage ferocious beasts, he does not dare to fight them alone. Yin Mo turns around extremely fast. With a sweep of his dragon tail, he directly collides with one of the black ferocious crabs. Afterwards, he grabs Xue Nu and Hong Wan with his 2 claws. Afterwards he rushes downwards extremely fast. Qin Yu, Li Air, Reverend Yen Su, Ida, Azure Dragon and Old Freak Three-Eyed are second only to Yin Mo. Behind them are Situ Xue, Jiao, the black-haired old man, and the 3 yellow-clad men. Where's the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion? According to the map transmitted by the 9 Jade Swords at that time, this Nine Swords Immortal Mansion should be only several hundred meters below them. Given everybody's eyesight, of course they should be able to see it. However, at the moment they find that there are only rocks and corals below them. Where is the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion? Everybody is a bit stupefied. They have risked their lives to get here, but they simply cannot see the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. For the sake of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, each of them has spent countless manpower and mental energy. They have fought over every jade sword and explored the place where the 9th jade sword is hidden. They have even almost lost their lives. For example, Di Long, Di Jian and Di Su were killed by Yin Mo. Only in the end did they know that the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion was in the chaotic astral ocean. After rushing into the chaotic astral ocean and killing their way here, they have almost lost their lives. If they had entered the Immortal Mansion, it would have been fine, but there is no Immortal Mansion here. None. Black Dragon Yin Mo stands on the rocky mountain range with his subordinates, the Snow Women and Hong Wan, but he does not know what to do. In theory, this place should be where the immortal mansion is, but why is there no immortal mansion here? One by one, they descend and fly to the top of this rocky mountain range. Everybody is a bit stupefied. Growl. Furious roars rise. Two huge black beast crabs come charging at them. Unable to find the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, and having to face the pursuit of the black beast crabs, everybody who has come here, after going through untold hardships, does not know what to do. They only feel that they have been wronged. If they die here, it will be even more wronged. You won't be able to escape. The big brother black beast crab stands in front of everybody, and says coldly, "Yenemo, I'll deal with the big brother. Second brother, you guys go. I see that your formation is pretty good. With the help of Ida and the others, you'll be able to have a match with the second brother black beast crab." Yenemo says to everybody present through holy sense communication. As for the others, let's see if there are any mechanisms here. Yenemo looks at Situ Shui and the others. Everybody nods. Yenemo will fight a black beast crab, azure dragon, 3 yellow-clad men and Ida by himself. Reverend Yen Su, old freak 3-eyed, and the others will join forces to attack the second brother black beast crab. This plan is pretty good, but can it really be realized? You're all very idiotic. The big brother black beast crab does not seem to be worried at all. Since the opponents are not attacking, Yenemo and the others do not want to attack either. They only want to stall for time, so that they can find the mechanism and discover the location of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. Yenemo and the other experts are keeping an eye on these two beast crabs while Situ Shui, Jiaojiu, Shui Nu, the seriously injured Hong Wan, Qin Yu, Li Er and the others are searching carefully. The blood of non-beasts will attract a great number of beasts. You've been fighting with us for such a long time, so your blood will definitely attract a lot of beasts. Some of them are as powerful as us, or even more powerful. At the moment, the big brother black beast talks unhurriedly. It seems he enjoys the chance to talk very much. Ordinary beasts cannot talk. Only some intelligent beasts can talk. Yenemo, Azure Dragon and Ida, the faces of Qin Yu and the others, who are carefully searching for the location of the mechanism, all change color. So that's how it is. No wonder so many beasts will come to besiege them, after killing the first beast shark. It turns out the blood of non-beasts will attract beasts in the surroundings. However, at this moment various furious roars rise. At the same time, several pairs of blood-red eyes rush over. Everybody understands that this means even more beasts are coming. Of the 6 beasts, 3 are at the Dongshu stage, 2 are at the Kongming stage and 1 is at the Duji stage. No good. Yenmo's face changes color. 2 Duji stage beasts are already very hard to deal with. Now another beast, which is not inferior to the black beast crab, has come. While everybody's heart is trembling, various furious roars rise again. Numerous pairs of blood-red eyes also come over. The more time passes, the more beasts gather. What should we do, Yenemo? Azure Dragon looks at Yenemo with a very unsightly expression. At the moment, there is no hope at all for them to fight recklessly. While Qin Yu, Li Er and the others are searching, they also pay attention to these beasts. All of them feel a great pressure. At the moment, there are already several tens of beasts. There are unexpectedly 5 of them at the Duji stage, and nearly 10 at the Kongming stage. Moreover, as time passes, their numbers are still slowly increasing. The 5 Duji stage beasts are at the forefront. Compared to the overseas Xiozhen world, this world of beasts in the chaotic astral ocean is where the strong are respected. There are more than 10 outsiders here. Us brothers want that black dragon, and the 2 people next to him. The big brother black crab says. In the middle of the 5 Duji stage beasts is a tigus hark with 2 blood-red sharp horns on its forehead. It says in an extremely slow tone. The others, I don't want them. That man and that woman. Only those 2 I want them. The 2-horned tigus hark beast is talking about Qin Yu and Li Er. Its blood-red eyes stare at Qin Yu and Li Er with a hint of greed. Only now do everybody realize that these 5 stage fairy beasts have unexpectedly regarded them as prey and are dividing them up. However, right at this moment, a deep, furious roar rises. The 5 stage fairy beasts unexpectedly all tremble, then immediately separate from each other. An extremely huge fairy beast, a huge black object which is several hundred meters tall, shoots towards them from the distance. Yenemo, Ida, Qin Yu and the others feel a great increase in pressure again. This several hundred meters huge black object is actually a huge octopus. This octopus is very strange. It has a lot of tentacles. At first glance, there are actually several tens of tentacles. An octopus only has 8 tentacles, but this octopus has several tens. Moreover, this octopus only has one blood-red eye. The one-eyed fairy beast is standing in the middle of the group. The 5 stage fairy beasts immediately retreat behind it very respectfully. Desheng stage fairy beast. Azure Dragon says in a low voice. The others' faces change color. The one-eyed octopus glances at Azure Dragon and says, "How do you know I'm a Desheng stage fairy beast? You seem to be only a Kongming stage divine beast." In terms of intelligence, this one-eyed octopus is much more intelligent than the 5 stage fairy beasts. Azure Dragon only feels his heart beat faster. He immediately says, I guessed. Seeing how respectful those 5 are to you, I guessed it. A Desheng stage fairy beast. This is an existence close to a Desheng stage divine beast. If it wants to kill everybody, it will be as easy as blowing off dust. But right at this moment, various rays of light of bright yellow, moonlight white, azure blue, shoot out from the Rocky Mountain range at the bottom of the sea where everybody is standing. The rays of light are not affected at all, and pierce through the darkness. They make the area of the sea within several tens li of them brighten up completely. Ah! That one-eyed octopus suddenly cries out in pain. When those rays of light hit his body, he seems to be corroded and blood starts to seep out. With a cry of pain, he immediately makes a movement of his body and flees away. The 5 stage fairy beasts also cry out in pain, as if they have suffered unbearable pain. All of them bleed out. They also turn around and flee at once, simply not caring about Yenemo, Qin Yu and the others. Only they seem to be affected by those rays of light, so their flying speed is especially slow. But at any rate, they have already flown several tens li away and run away. As for the other Desheng stage fairy beasts and Kongming stage fairy beasts, they all cry out in pain and want to run away. But because they are slower, they suffer greater injuries. Their resistance is even weaker. In just a while, these fairy beasts' bodies fester then turn into ashes. Yenemo, Ida, Reverend Yen Su, Qin Yu and Old Freak Three-Eyed are all dumbstruck. Extremely powerful Desheng stage fairy beasts have been scared away by these rays of light, and even seriously injured. The Kongming stage fairy beasts have even been turned into ashes directly. Immortal Mansion, the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. A cry of alarm is heard. It is Jiao Jiao who shouts. Everybody turns around to look. They see that more and more rays of light are shooting out. That Rocky Mountain range unexpectedly also shatters. An extremely large building starts to appear. Bathed in the miraculous rays of light, a magnificent immortal mansion finally appears. Not a single fairy beast dares to come close to the area, within several tens li of the area illuminated by the rays of light. Being illuminated by these rays of light, Qin Yu, Yenemo, and the others instead feel comfortable from head to toe, and are not affected at all. As the Rocky Mountain range shatters more and more, the appearance of the immortal mansion is also completely revealed. Under various rays of light, an immortal mansion that looks like it is made entirely of jade appears. Its majestic aura makes everybody's heart tremble. Good heavens, is this an immortal mansion? For the moment, everybody is shocked by this immortal mansion. At the same time, they feel delighted. Just by looking at the immortal mansion, it is already so impressive. How can the treasures in it be inferior? Ah, a miserable cry rises. Qin Yu's face changes color greatly because Old Freak Three-Eyed, who is right beside him, has unexpectedly been blown up directly. Yuanying has even been pierced through and falls down. The extremely formidable Old Freak Three-Eyed has unexpectedly died just like that. Qin Yu knows that the situation is not good. At the same time, he also feels an extremely terrifyingly powerful energy coming at him from behind. It's attacking me. Even though he has sensed it, at the moment Qin Yu simply has no time to dodge, because the opponent is too fast. But no matter what, he has to give it a try. Qin Yu tries his best to dodge to the right. At the very least he cannot injure his head and dantian. Li Er. When Qin Yu's body is dodging, he discovers that Li Er has unexpectedly arrived behind him to shield his back. He cannot help being greatly alarmed. A loud noise is heard. Li Er's body sends out transparent ripples, easily blocking that terrifying attack. Li Er's protective magic treasure has taken effect. That attack, which blew Old Freak three-eyed into dregs with ease, is blocked by Li Er with ease. But now the mysterious man's targets seem not only Qin Yu and Old Freak three-eyed. At the same time, there are other people as well. Boom, 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 boom. A series of explosions rise. After a while the explosions stop. The smoke settles down completely. Qin Yu looks around. Reverend Yin Su, Ida Situ Shui and Jiao Jiao are still smiling. But the Zuyoists, at the moment, Yen Mo is kneeling on one knee. His face is very pale, and his blood is flowing all over the ground. Azure Dragon is lying on one side. Those three yellow-clad men are all supporting him. Yen Mo's two subordinates, Xuenu and Hong Wan, are lying on the ground. They are already lifeless dead. Tisk tisk. This person should be a member of the Stellar Tower. Since he was able to take a blow from me without dying, he should have that loose immortal's protective magic treasure. Looks like that loose immortal of the Stellar Tower really deserves his reputation. Standing in front of the immortal mansion, a black-robed man says smilingly. At the moment, there is another black-robed man beside him. The one who attacked just now was obviously this mysterious black-robed man. Seeing the two black-robed men, Jiao Jiao is delighted at once. He kneels down at once and says respectfully, Disciple Jiao Jiao pays respect to Grand Master and Grand Uncle Master. Chapter 196. The appearance of the two black-robed men has killed Old Freak three-eyed, Xuenu and Hong Wan. Yen Mo has also been seriously injured. Hearing how Jiao Jiao addresses them, Qin Yu's face changes color. This Jiao Jiao is the great elder of the Yanma school stationed in the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon. His position in the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon can be considered extremely high. But these two black-robed men are unexpectedly Jiao Jiao's grandmaster and martial granduncle. I'm afraid the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon doesn't have experts with such high seniority. Obviously these two are people from the Tunglong continent. Qin Yu's heart shakes. What Qin Yu is most worried about is that Xiaxianist schools and Xioma schools will invite super experts from the Tunglong continent to come here. If there are only people from the Penglai Immortal region and the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon, Qin Yu has the confidence to deal with them. However, if those unfathomable experts from the Tunglong continent come here, it will be hard to say. The two black-robed men who have appeared have easily killed Old Freak three-eyed. Xuenu and Hong Wan have also been killed without being able to put up any resistance. Even Azure Dragon and Yen Mo have been seriously injured. They have already displayed astonishing power. Situ Shui, however, suddenly bows and says respectfully, Seniors, are you the two loose immortal seniors Huacan and Hualan? Junior's martial ancestor also mentioned the two seniors in front of Junior. Hualan Huacan. The two big experts of the Yanma school are both third tribulation loose devils. They are equivalent to Deshang stage experts. Even on the Tunglong continent, they are top-notch experts. After all, most of the loose immortals above the fourth tribulation have entered the chaotic astral ocean. Only a few loose immortals above the fourth tribulation stay on the Tunglong continent. People from the Inua Palace? Hualan's heart jolts. Seeing Situ Shui, he recognizes her practice method. This junior unexpectedly knows me and my second brother. Looks like there's something special about her. Hualan looks at Situ Shui with a friendly look in his eyes. Oh, looking at your practice method, little girl. You should be a member of the Inua Palace. Who's your grandmaster? Let's hear it and see if my second brother and I know each other. There is a faint smile on Hua Lan's face, but his whole person is very strange. Most people from the Yanma school are extremely brutal. Hua Lan and Hua Kan, on the other hand, were dressed in black robes and had an ice-cold appearance. Among the Yanma school, they were also considered to be different. They were the type that looked cold on the outside, but had a violent and bloodthirsty heart. Situ Shui says respectfully, "My grandmaster is Dame Yanji of the Tunglong continent." Yanji. The facial expressions of Hua Lan and Hua Kan changed greatly. It was actually her. If Dame Yanji also comes, they will be in a bit of trouble. On the Tunglong continent, there are really not many people who can make the two of them afraid, but this Dame Yanji is one of them. Dame Yanji is extremely famous. On the Tunglong continent, people call her the Thousand Transformation Demoness, because she likes to change into various appearances. Dame Yanji is bewitching and beautiful. She is very seductive by nature, but many Xiamoists have fallen for her. Turns out it's Dame Yanji of the Inua Palace. Haha, little girl, has your grandmaster come this time? We brothers haven't seen Dame Yanji for a long time. We really miss her. Hua Lan says smilingly. Situ Shui said vaguely, I don't know about this, but Grandmaster said he was very interested in this immortal mansion. As for whether he will come or not, I don't know. Maybe he will come, or maybe he won't. Hua Lan and Hua Kan frowned. What is this? However, after a while Hua Lan bursts out laughing. Little girl, you're unexpectedly teasing us with those empty words. If he really came, and you were still so secretive, perhaps you would have already asked him to come out. Second brother, don't waste time. Let's open the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion as soon as possible. At the moment, Azure Dragon has taken a holy pill, so his injuries have mostly recovered. Those three yellow-clad men are standing behind him. So it's seniors Hua Lan and Hua Kan. My grandpa Yin Shutian talked to me about you two seniors a few days ago. Azure Dragon says with an indifferent smile. It seems he does not care about the sneak attack of Hua Lan and Hua Kan just now at all. Qin Yu and Li Er are standing beside Azure Dragon. At the moment, Yen Mo has also stood up. Only there are still bloodstains on the corners of his mouth. Obviously the blow just now was really very heavy. Hua Lan and Hua Kan look extremely similar. Only Hua Lan's eyes are a bit bigger, and he smiles a bit more. Hua Kan's eyes are a bit smaller, and his face is a bit colder. Yen Shutian. Turns out you're a member of the Yen family of the Dragon Clan. Hua Kan nods with a cold face. Hua Lan, however, says, Brat of the Dragon Clan, don't think you're so powerful that you can resist my blow. Azure Dragon says smilingly at once, I know myself well. Senior, you're a third tribulation loose devil, whose power is comparable to that of a Deshang stage expert. It's very easy for you to deal with us. You can kill us with a wave of your hand. I was lucky enough to keep my life. That's naturally, because you showed mercy to me. Brat, you're sensible. There is a hint of satisfaction on both Hua Lan and Hua Kan's faces. Hey Black Dragon, what's that look in your eyes? Hua Kan shouts with a cold expression. Yen Mo wipes the bloodstains off the corners of his mouth with one hand, and looks coldly at Hua Kan. Yen Mo's heart is filled with fury. Two of his generals, Snow Woman and Hong Luan, have already been killed, so how can Yen Mo be reconciled to this? If you weren't a member of the Dragon Clan, I would have already killed you with a heavy blow just now. Brat, I'm not giving you face. I'm giving your senior of the Dragon Clan face. Brat, don't be rampant in front of me otherwise. Hua Kan looks coldly at Yen Mo, as if he will kill him on the spot if he disobeys. Azure Dragon says smilingly at once. Seniors, Yen Mo is a brother of my Yin clan. He's of the same generation as me, but he's rather unruly. I hope two seniors won't bicker with a junior like him. At this moment, Azure Dragon unexpectedly speaks up for Yen Mo. Hua Lan pulls Hua Kan, saying, Second brother, don't bicker with a junior. Don't you think it's beneath your status to bicker with a junior? Hua Kan withdraws his ice-cold gaze from Yen Mo, and also says indifferently, Big brother is right. It's beneath our status to bicker with a junior. Times Qin Yu and Li Er, like outsiders, have been watching them talking on one side from the beginning to the end. At the same time, they are also constantly sorting out the situation at the scene. In Qinyu's opinion, since the Xioma seniors have come, then, the Xiuxianist troops are very likely to have also come. Qinyu, right? Hualan looks at Qinyu and says smilingly. Qinyu says with a nod. Qinyu greets you, senior. Hualan nods and praises with admiration. I've also heard from Jiaojiu that there's a loose immortal with extremely high power in the Stellar Tower. It's a pity that I haven't had a chance to meet him. But, judging from that woman's protective magic treasure just now, it's at least an immortal weapon. Otherwise, how could a woman who hasn't even reached the Yuanying stage have been able to block my attack? Huaqian also says with a sigh from the bottom of his heart. That loose immortal of the Stellar Tower is indeed very powerful. Us brothers admit that we're not as good as him. To be able to let a woman who hasn't even reached the Yuanying stage withstand the attack of a third tribulation loose devil. Such a formidable magic treasure. Moreover, it is a defensive magic treasure. An expert who has such a magic treasure, or can refine such a magic treasure, is definitely not someone they can fight against. Azure Dragon also says respectfully. Qinyu's uncle Lan already knew about the existence of the 9 jade swords at that time. If he wants to seize the treasures in this immortal mansion, perhaps none of us will be able to get it. With Uncle Lan's power, he already doesn't care about this immortal mansion. Such an expert can regard the immortal mansion as nothing. He has such a broad mind and such a vision. We really admire him endlessly. Us two brothers also want to meet such an expert. Hualan is not stingy with his praise at all. Big brother, we'd better not waste time. Let's quickly open the immortal mansion. Huaqian says. You're right. Hualan nods then waves his hand. The interspatial ring left behind by old freak Three-Eyed, after his death immediately flies towards his palm. Leave the ring. A loud shout is heard. A green ray of light shoots straight at that interspatial ring. Hualan's face changes color. An ominous light flashes in his eyes. He rolls up his big sleeve, and a black silk ribbon flies out directly then wraps around the ring. At the same time, that green ray of light also shoots at the ribbon. The ribbon is weak, but ridiculously tough. It directly negates the attack power of the green ray of light. That is none other than a green flying sword. A low-grade immortal weapon, immortal elemental energy. So it's a loose immortal. The ribbon flies back into Hualan's palm. Hualan takes a look at that flying sword, and says indifferently, once a loose immortal reaches the fourth tribulation, he will have pure immortal elemental energy, like an immortal. At that time he will be able to refine immortal weapons. However, to refine immortal weapons, not only does he need the power of an immortal, he also needs refining methods, and all kinds of precious materials. Hualan, Huaqian, you two brothers are really too rampant. Even though these juniors are not very powerful, you shouldn't have killed them indiscriminately. Xiamoists are Xiamoists. Their demonic nature will never change. Following a cold shout, a blue-bearded red-faced old man appears. This red-faced old man has vertical eyebrows. Obviously he is a hot-tempered person. Oh my, turns out it's red-faced loose immortal Reverend Yu Yan. Hualan bursts out laughing. Right. This time it seems the Penglai Immortal region only sent this junior Yen Su. The people of your Xiang school don't seem to have come. Seems it's because you got too few jade swords. TSK, Yu Yen, your disciples are really too useless. Look at my purple flame devilish dungeon. I only got 2 jade swords. Shut up. Reverend Yu Yen shouts violently. Hualan and Huaqian exchange a smile, but they do not care. In terms of power, Reverend Yu Yen is also a third tribulation loose immortal. He is equally matched with them. However, they are 2 brothers while Reverend Yu Yen is alone. What are they afraid of? Old man Yu Yen, have you not seen the situation clearly? How dare you make a fuss in front of us brothers? Hualan says mockingly. Flames immediately flash in Reverend Yu Yan's eyes. He is about to fight. Reverend Yu Yan, don't you think it's shameful for you to bicker with those 2 Xiamoists like this? A gentle voice sounded out. Another beautiful woman in green appeared. She was beautiful, but she had an ethereal aura about her. Hualan and Huaqian both frown. So it's Reverend Shui Rou of the Lanyang School. Hualan says with a cold laugh. Looks like quite a lot of people from your Xiaxianist schools have come. Don't hide anymore. Come out however many you have. We brothers will welcome all of you. As far as Hualan and Huaqian know, they are the only two Xiamoists who have come. Since fellow Xiaxianist Hualan has invited us, we've come. That clear voice rises from the distance. Hualan and Huaqian's faces both change color. Just now they were just speaking out of anger. Who could have thought that there are still experts who have not shown up yet? Qin Yu and Li Er exchange a smile. Li Er, looks like the opening of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, this time, is getting more and more interesting. Experts are coming one after another. These people have all hidden themselves very deeply. They will only show up when the Immortal Mansion is about to be opened. Qin Yu looks smilingly at the loose immortals and loose devils in front of him. Li Er, however, says with a smile. Immortal treasures are bestowed to the destined ones. This is not something that can be obtained just because of power. Oh, could it be that the weak ones can obtain it? Even if they can obtain it, the strong ones can also snatch it. Qin Yu is curious. Li Er says with a mysterious smile. Don't worry, big brother Qin Yu. We'll find out soon enough. Seeing that Li Er does not say anything, Qin Yu does not ask further. At this moment, the person who uttered the voice has also appeared. He sees three blue-bearded old men in loose blue robes flying towards him from the distance in a free and unfettered manner. These three blue-bearded old men are all smiling and looking amiable. They look like experts who have achieved the Tao. In terms of appearance, these three are actually not bad. Junior Yen Su pays his respects to three grand-uncle masters. Reverend Yen Su says respectfully. Qin Yu laughs in his mind. Oh, the experts of the Qingshu Temple have finally arrived. Moreover, there are three of them. Yen Su, you stand aside for a moment. The leading old man says smilingly with a wave of his sleeve. Reverend Yen Su immediately stands aside respectfully. Reverend Yu Yen and Reverend Shui Ro immediately fold their hands in salute. Reverend Shui Ro says smilingly. So it's you, fellow Taoist Gon Su, fellow Taoist Gon Ming and fellow Taoist Gon Shan. Now the situation has changed in an instant. As soon as these three experts of the Qingshu Temple appear, the power of the Xiaxianist side soars at once. However, the Xiamoist side has become weaker. So it's old Taoist Gon Su, and the two brats Gon Ming and Gon Shan. Hualan says with an indifferent smile. He knows that old Taoist Gon Su is a third tribulation loose immortal, and his two junior brothers are second tribulation loose immortals. The three of them together are equivalent to two third tribulation loose immortals. Old Taoist Qing Su says smilingly. Yen Su, take out a jade sword. Everybody, you'd better open the immortal mansion. Reverend Yen Su immediately takes out a jade sword. Hualan also turns his hand and a jade sword appears. We won't waste time. Old Taoist Gon Su, this time I'll give you face. It's better to open it early. My dragon clan also has this jade sword. Azure Dragon turns his hand smilingly. Two jade swords then appear in his palm. Suddenly, open the immortal mansion? You'd better slow down, everybody. It won't be too late to open it after we've agreed on the matter. Otherwise, the immortal mansion will never open. That flat voice rises. Everybody looks towards the source of the voice. Ida, who has not said anything from the beginning, is now staring at the loose immortals and loose devils with his pair of evil eyes. There is a faint calm smile on the corners of his mouth. Chapter 197. A purple light appears indistinctly in Ida's pupils. He sweeps the loose immortals and loose devils with an evil smile on his face. What did you say? Wakan's eyes flash with coldness. Ida, don't waste time here. You're the leader of the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon, only because our big schools don't care about the leader of a small place like the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon. Otherwise, how could we let a person without school get this position? Huaqian, Ida looks at him coldly. As soon as Huaqian hears this, he becomes furious. Who is he? Ida unexpectedly calls him by his name. Second brother. Hualan reaches out his hand to stop his second brother. Calm down. How can Huaqian calm down at the moment? He says angrily. Big brother, this junior is unexpectedly so arrogant. If it weren't for the fact that many Zayamoi schools on the Tung-Long continent don't care about the position of the leader of the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon, how could it have been his turn? Humph, now he's still being arrogant in front of me. This junior is courting death. Huaqian, it seems you didn't understand what I said, Ida says with an indifferent smile. On one side, Qinyu's heart jolts. He's really brave. Qinyu praises him in his heart. He already knows what Ida is going to do. He cannot help praising Ida inwardly for having the guts to risk his life. Don't be noisy with me, a junior. Prepare to die. Huaqian, who is furious, simply doesn't want to listen to Ida's nonsense. Second brother, shut up. Hualan shouts. Big brother. Huaqian is stupefied. He looks at his big brother blankly. He never thought his big brother, who has the deepest feelings for him, would say that to him. Second brother, this young friend Ida is not as simple as you think. You heard what he said at the beginning clearly. Maybe you can kill him, but if you kill him, it's very likely that you won't be able to enter the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion again. Hualan explains. Huaqian can't bear to listen to other people's words, but he can listen to his big brother's words. Why won't I be able to enter? I'll just kill him. Huaqian says with a cold laugh. Ida says with an evil smile. Huaqian, your big brother is indeed much smarter than you. Just now I said that the Immortal Mansion may never be opened. I dare to say this because I have 2 jade swords. When I die, the 2 jade swords in my hands will explode and break into pieces. A top-grade jade sword is extremely hard. It is very difficult for ordinary attacks to break it. Even if an expert at Ida's level explodes himself, it is very difficult for him to break other people's top-grade holy weapons. However, this jade sword has already been bound by Ida with his blood. If the true elemental force was poured into the jade sword, its defensive power and offensive power would be greatly increased. Naturally, it would not be afraid of Ida's self-explosion. But, if Ida wanted to blow himself up, how could he have filled the jade sword with his elemental energy? Without the infusion of true elemental energy, although the defensive power of a top-grade jade sword is very high, once Ida, an expert at the late Kongming stage, self-detonates, that terrifying power will definitely be able to blow the top-grade jade sword into pieces. Even if you want to kill me, I only need a split second to break this jade sword. If you have the guts, you can give it a try. Ida looks smilingly at everybody. Old Taoist Gon Su, Gon Ming Gon Shan, Reverend Yu Yen, Reverend Shui Ro and those 2 loose devil brothers Huaqian and Hualan. At the moment, these 7 loose immortals and loose devils do not know what to say. None of them dares to get into action. These loose devils and loose immortals are all very experienced. They all know very well that at the moment Ida must be paying close attention to everything using his holy sense. Once they get into action, perhaps Ida will blow up his own jade sword at the same time. If one of the 9 jade swords is destroyed, it will be impossible to enter the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Little friend Ida, I admire you, I admire you. Hualan folds his hands and says, being ruthless to others is nothing, but being ruthless to oneself is a real ruthless person. Daring to be ruthless to oneself, this person is indeed an ambitious and ruthless character. Old Taoist Gon Su also says smilingly, I really admire your courage, little friend Ida. What do you want to do by stopping us from opening the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion? Just tell us what you want. If we can agree, of course we'll agree. Ida's smile finally broadens. Wouldn't it have been better if you agreed earlier? Ida looks around at everybody. Actually, I don't have any other ambitions. It's just that. I want to say one thing. The thing that Reverend Yen Su and I discussed at that time still stands, and will be slightly modified. I wonder if you'll agree, loose immortals and loose devils? Ida asks. Ask. Qinyu, who is watching the show on one side, however gives a smile. Even though this is a question, how can those loose immortals and loose devils dare to say no? Something discussed. What did you discuss? Hualan says frowningly. Ida looks at Qinyu, saying smilingly. Qinyu, do you still remember our agreement at that time? It's about the immortal weapons in the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Tell us about it. Qinyu gives a forced smile. This Ida has dragged him into this matter. Qinyu, Old Taoist Gone Su says with brightening eyes. Qin Yu, where's that uncle of yours at the moment? I heard from Yen Su that your uncle is such an expert, so I want to meet him. This old Taoist Gone Su unexpectedly is not worried about Ida's matter, but asks about Qin Yu instead. One cannot help praising him for his composure. Uncle Lan? Qin Yu laughs in his mind. Perhaps these experts have all heard about Uncle Lan's power. My Uncle Lan isn't very interested in the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. He only told me and my junior sister to come here. Qin Yu says indifferently. Hua Lan also says. Old Taoist Gone Su, little friend Qin Yu's uncle is indeed an expert. The protective magic treasure he gave that woman is definitely an immortal weapon. And perhaps, it's not just a low-grade immortal weapon. It's very possible that it's a middle-grade immortal weapon. Middle-grade immortal weapon? Everybody present is shocked. Only Fourth Tribulation loose immortals have the ability to forge immortal weapons, but they can only forge low-grade immortal weapons. As for middle-grade immortal weapons, generally, only 10th Tribulation loose immortals, or top-class loose immortals have the ability to forge them. Of course, it is only these experts guess that 10th Tribulation loose immortals have the ability to forge middle-grade immortal weapons. It is just an imaginary number. These loose immortals do not know what level of power it takes to forge middle-grade immortal weapons. After all, the most powerful among them is only a third tribulation loose immortal. But they can be sure of one thing. Those who can forge middle-grade immortal weapons must be top-class experts among loose immortals. Perhaps they should be 10th tribulation loose immortals. How is that possible? Qin Yu's uncle may be very formidable, but forging middle-grade immortal weapons is a bit exaggerated. Reverend Yu Yen says in disbelief. The other loose immortals, such as Old Taoist Gone Su and the others, all look astonished. Hua Kan, however, says, you all know how powerful we two brothers are. We're only a step away from the Fourth Tribulation loose immortal stage. But even with our power, we couldn't hurt that woman at all. After saying, Hua Kan points at Li Er. Qin Yu frowns. He does not want Li Er to be in the teeth of the storm. Is that true? The other loose immortals immediately see through Li Er's power. She has not even reached the Yuanying stage yet. She was able to block the attacks of Hua Lan and his brother with such power. Her defensive magic treasure, perhaps even a low-grade immortal weapon, is a bit hard to defend against. It is most likely a middle-grade immortal weapon. Humph, do you think I'll lie? Hua Kan says with a cold humph. Everybody, let's not waste time. Brother Qin Yu, please explain to them our original agreement. Ida says enthusiastically to Qin Yu. Judging from his tone, he is obviously very close to Qin Yu. He looks as if he is on the same side as Qin Yu. Qin Yu takes a look at Ida, praising him in his heart. This Ida is really formidable. Just now he asked him to explain instead of letting Azure Dragon and Reverend Yin Su explain. Perhaps he wants those loose immortals to know Uncle Lan's power. After all, just now Li Er was not injured even though she was hit. Ida saw it clearly. Ida wants those people to value Qin Yu. Since he stands on one side with Qin Yu, naturally the other side will value him a bit more. Moreover, Qin Yu also has a jade sword, so Ida is sure that Qin Yu will definitely support him. Because if he does not support him, perhaps those loose immortals and loose devils will snatch the treasures directly, and they, the weak ones, will not be able to get a single one. Qin Yu looks at the loose immortals and loose devils, and says carefully, according to our original agreement, if the number of immortal weapons in the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion is a multiple of 9, they will be distributed proportionally according to the number of jade swords each of you has. We absolutely cannot snatch them by force. If they are not a multiple of 9, we'll snatch them by force. Oh, that's the agreement. Okay, we agree. Hua Lan agrees smilingly at once. Old Taoist Gone Su and the others also agree smilingly. How can a multiple of 9 be so coincidental? Wait a moment. Ida shouts. Those loose immortals and loose devils all look at him. Hua Kan says coldly. Ida, we've already agreed to your matter. What else do you want? Ida says smilingly. You don't seem to have heard clearly what I said just now. The matter that I discussed with Reverend Yen Su at that time still stands. but it needs to be slightly modified. That's what I said. Not only does that agreement still stand, it also needs to be slightly modified. Slightly modified? Qin Yu's eyes brighten. Given his current power, it is really very difficult for him to compete with those loose immortals and loose devils. This so-called modification will definitely be beneficial to Ida. It will also be beneficial to him, who has a jade sword. Please say, little friend. Old Taoist Gansu says amiably. Ida says loudly. It's very simple. If there are less than 9 immortal weapons, I won't take any of them. If there are a multiple of 9, naturally they'll be distributed proportionally according to the agreement with the number of jade swords each of you has. At the same time, I want to add one more thing. The corners of Ida's mouth slightly curve upwards. Everybody listens carefully. They all know that this additional thing is the reason why Ida has been risking his life to make such a fuss until now. What if there aren't a multiple of 9, but more than 9? Humph. If there are more than 9 but less than 18, they'll be distributed proportionally according to the number of jade swords I had at that time. If there are more than 18 but less than 27, they'll be distributed proportionally according to the number of jade swords each of you has at that time. As for the more immortal weapons, they'll be distributed in that order. Ida says sonorously. All the loose immortals and loose devils are stupefied. This Ida is betting that there are more than 9 immortal weapons. As long as there are more than or equal to 9 immortal weapons, no matter how many there are, he will get his share. Qin Yu, Azure Dragon and Yen Mo all have a faint smile on their faces. I, Yen Mo, agree in the name of these 2 jade swords. He says loudly. At the moment, he is holding the 2 jade swords, looking coldly at the loose immortals and loose devils before him. That aura and that look in his eyes all show one thing. He dares to self-detonate and destroy these 2 jade swords like Ida. I agree in the name of these 2 jade swords. Azure Dragon says smilingly. I agree too. Qin Yu also agrees. 7 jade swords are on Ida's side, but the loose immortals and loose devils only have Reverend Yen Su's jade sword, and the jade sword Hualan obtained from killing old freak Three-Eyed. Seeing Ida's and Yen Mo's callous eyes which show that they do not care about life or death, then looking at Azure Dragon and Qin Yu, they think of the dragon clan behind Azure Dragon, and that unfathomable loose immortal behind Qin Yu. These 7 loose immortals and loose devils finally yield. All right, we agree. Hualan says on behalf of the 2 of them. Old Taoist Gansu and the other 2 also nod. Reverend Shui Ro and Reverend Yu Yen also nod. Wait a moment. Ida says again. What else do you want? Huacan says angrily. The other loose immortals and loose devils also frown. Obviously they are already a bit impatient. Ida says smilingly. Nothing. I just want you to promise me one thing. That you won't try to kill us, either directly or indirectly. Ida has thought this through very carefully. If these loose immortals and loose devils kill him right away, what he said just now will be useless, won't it? Moreover, Ida has also said that they cannot kill him directly or indirectly. Junior, who do you think we are? How can we possibly do that? Old Taoist Gansu shouts angrily. Ida, however, says nothing. Instead, he looks at Hualan, and Huacan obviously he does not trust these 2 loose devil brothers the most. We brothers promise that we won't harm you, either directly or indirectly. Hualan says with a cold humph. Immediately afterwards, Reverend Shui Ro, Reverend Yu Yen and Old Taoist Gansu all give their promises. But it is very obvious that these loose immortals and loose devils are slightly angry. Ida is also very tactful, so he does not make any more demands. These loose immortals and loose devils all have extremely high statuses on the Tung-Long continent. If he goes too far, they may even give up the immortal mansion and kill him to vent their hatred. Ida turns around to look at the gate of the immortal mansion. That gate is bronze in color. A simple aura rushes out from it, making people feel pressured very naturally. All right, then let's open the immortal mansion. There are 9 holes on the gate of this immortal mansion. Obviously they are the places where the 9 jade swords have been stabbed. I'll stab them first. This time Ida is even more straightforward. He goes straight up and stabs the 2 jade swords into the corresponding places. Chapter 198. The bronze-colored ancient door has a kind of translucent, crystalline feeling like jade. Those 9 sword holes are arranged in peculiar positions. Obviously, they are the positions of some kind of profound formation. However, no one at the scene, including old Taoist Gansu, can see through them. The 2 jade swords pierce into 2 of the holes just like that, as if they are piercing into a pliable liquid. Whoosh! A sound like a sharp sword being unsheathed rises. Suddenly, the entire bronze-colored ancient door brightens. A blue light shoots out from the door and covers everybody at the scene, making them narrow their eyes uncontrollably. I'll pierce the 8th hole, Qinyu says. At the same time, he goes forward and slowly pierces the 8th hole. Afterwards, Azure Dragon, Yenemo, Hualan and Reverend Yen Su pierce their respective jade swords in turn. The 9 jade swords have finished piercing into the door. Everyone holds their breaths. Everybody holds their breaths and looks at that bronze-colored ancient door. Their hearts are in their mouths. Whiz! With a sound of inhalation, the 9 jade swords suddenly disappear, as if they have been sucked in. At the same time, the 9 holes brighten. Immediately afterwards, the 9 holes radiate 9 rays of light, which intertwine with each other like ropes. A deafening sound rang out. Dazzling. Everybody closes their eyes uncontrollably. It is not that they cannot bear it, but it is a conditioned reflex. When they close their eyes, the entire bronze-colored ancient door gives off a set of parallel rays of light, which envelop everybody directly. They disappear. Everybody disappears into thin air just like that, disappearing from the outside of the immortal mansion. It is not the opening of the ancient door as everybody had expected at the beginning. It is hazy and boundless, like an ocean of white clouds and mist. The whole world is completely white clouds and mist, with no end in sight. Moreover, the visibility is very low. One can only see through several tens meters at most. Anything further than that is a vast expanse of whiteness. Qinyu opens his eyes. As soon as he takes a look, he is greatly shocked. What's this place? Qinyu's first reaction is to look around. At the moment, he sees Li Er by his side. Qinyu cannot help secretly letting out a sigh of relief in his heart. This is a formation, a very abstruse formation. The person who set it up must have had an extraordinary power. Li Er says very certainly. Oh, are you sure? Qinyu asked. Li Er's chest puffed up slightly as she looked at Qinyu and said, Of course. Qinyu couldn't help but smile. Old Taoist Gansu, you're one of the most knowledgeable among us. Tell me, what is this place? Just now we were still outside the immortal mansion. How did we get to this inexplicable place? Hualan says. At this moment, Hualan and Huakin are looking around carefully. Old Taoist Gansu praises while stroking his beard. This place is very mysterious. Just now I used my holy sense to observe, and found that my holy sense seems to have been greatly restricted. The range of my holy sense's observation is even shorter than that of my eyes. It's really very wonderful. Seeing old Taoist Gansu exclaim in admiration like this, Huakin says coldly, Don't waste time there, old Taoist Gansu. Just now we were outside the immortal mansion, but now we're here instead. What's going on? What we need to do now is figure out what's going on, and how to get out of this damned place. Don't be impatient. Calm down, calm down. Old Taoist Gansu says smilingly. At the moment, Reverend Yu Yen, the extremely good-tempered Reverend Shui Ro, Hualan and Huakin are all impatient in their hearts. As for the juniors such as Yen Mo, Azure Dragon and Qinyu, naturally they are also impatient in their hearts. Among them, only Li Er, the black-haired old man beside Situ Shui, and the 3 yellow-clad men behind Azure Dragon, have no anxious expression. Old Taoist Gansu looks around at everybody saying, Everybody, it seems this woman from the Stellar Tower, the 3 yellow-clad men beside Azure Dragon, and that black-haired old man aren't in a hurry at all. I know the background of the Stellar Tower's young lady, but little friend Situ, that black-haired old man should be a member of your Inua Palace, right? Situ Shui raises her eyebrows then bows saying, You guessed correctly, senior. This is indeed my schoolmate. Schoolmate? Old Taoist Gansu gives a smile. His eyes flash. I'm afraid he's not an ordinary schoolmate. Humph. The The members of the Qingxi temple seem to meddle too much. Don't mind him a shwa. If I, Dame Yanji, were here, I'd like to see if he would still dare to be so arrogant. That black-haired old man says with a cold laugh. But he is disdainful of old Taoist Gansu. Cold light flashes through old Taoist Gansu's eyes like lightning. Old Taoist Gansu, what do you want to do here? The most important thing for us now is to figure out what this place is and how we're going to get out of here. Hualan is a bit angry. Old Taoist Gansu, however, does not answer. Instead, he looks at the three yellow-clad men behind Azure Dragon. Early Kongming stage. Since when did the Blue Dragon Temple have such experts? Moreover, there are three of them. Old Taoist Gansu asks in reply. Old Taoist Gansu does not care about early Kongming stage experts, but he always feels that these three yellow-clad men are somewhat mysterious. Azure Dragon folds his hands, saying, Senior, these three are the three vice-overlords of my Blue Dragon Temple, who have been hiding in the palace all along. They have never been announced to the public. This time we're going to open the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, so naturally my Blue Dragon Temple has to bring out all of its power. Oh, old Taoist Gansu nods his head. At the moment, however, Qingyu frowns. What is this old Taoist Gansu doing? He's not in a hurry to find out where this place is. He's not worried about falling into this mysterious place at all. Could it be he knows the secret of this place? Qingyu looks carefully at old Taoist Gansu. Suddenly, Qingyu's eyes brighten. Part of a rock has been exposed behind old Taoist Gansu and his junior brother Ganshan. With a movement of his body, Qingyu moves several meters to the side in an instant. A stone stele. Qingyu finally sees it clearly. Behind old Taoist Gansu, his junior brother, and the others is unexpectedly a stone stele. A simple and unadorned stone stele. And there are even handwriting on this stone stele. Haha, little friend Qingyu, you're really wise. Old Taoist Gansu notices Qinyu's movement and knows that he cannot hide it anymore, so he immediately moves aside. The others also see that stone stele behind him at once. I know this handwriting, Reverend Yansu exclaims. Oh, this handwriting is the same as the handwriting of the immortal who left the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion in the cave when we were looking for the ninth jade sword. And this handwriting was left behind by that immortal. Reverend Yansu says with absolute certainty. Qingyu, Ida, Azure Dragon, and the others all see the handwriting on this stone stele. It is indeed exactly the same as the handwriting they saw in the cave at that time. This is the hallucinatory magic land? Hualan goes up to take a look and cries out in surprise. But when the others see the handwriting on the stone stele, their faces all become silent. They all understand that they have entered the interior of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion instead of some other place. Moreover, the reason they have come to this place is most likely related to Qin Guang, who shot out from that unadorned bronze gate of the mansion. Haha, everybody, congratulations on entering the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. But it's not so easy to get my treasures. This place is the hallucinatory magic land in the outermost part of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. But I think it's better to call it the hallucinatory magic land. If you want to get immortal treasures, you'll have to survive this hallucinatory magic land. Of course, this isn't up to you. As long as you enter it, your life and death will already be out of your control. Haha, those several lines of flamboyant and flamboyant characters are full of extremely overbearing aggressiveness. Obviously, the immortal who left the mansion behind is not a benevolent or kind-hearted person. Instead, he is a cruel person. Even if there is a predestined person who obtains a jade sword, this immortal will still leave behind some extremely difficult dangers to test him. If he succeeds, he will obtain a magic treasure. If he fails, he will die. He cannot retreat. He is also unable to retreat. And I Yang, this immortal and I Yang is very domineering, Reverend Yu Yin exclaims. Hualan, however, gives a rare laugh. I think this immortal and I Yang doesn't look like an immortal at all. Instead, he looks like a Xayamoist. Haha, you see, these words don't conceal his intention at all. He's not like some Xiaxianists, whose hearts are as vicious as snakes and scorpions, who instead want to set up a memorial arch and are extremely hypocritical. Huolan gives old Taoist Gansu a cold look. Old Taoist Gansu, however, is still smiling. Everybody, I think you've all understood this immortal's meaning. Now that we've come here, we simply can't escape. We can only accept it. Death or life, it'll depend on our own abilities. This so-called hallucinatory magic land is absolutely incomparable to the dangers we normally encounter. Old Taoist Gansu says loudly, these loose immortals and loose devils are all a bit nervous. But Azure Dragon, Ida, Yen Mo, Qin Yu and the others are all extremely nervous. Hallucinatory magic land? If there is a higher chance of survival, it is naturally those with high power, which is those loose immortals and loose devils. But those with low power are naturally on tenterhooks. Huolan says with a cold laugh. This immortal and I Yang insisted on making this dangerous place difficult for us. But, as far as I can see, this immortal and I Yang will definitely let some people obtain immortal treasures, so the degree of difficulty will definitely be limited. Those with enough power naturally don't need to worry. Is that really so? Reverend Shui Ro suddenly asks in reply. Huolan is startled. What do you mean, Reverend Shui Ro? Huolan shouts. Sometimes luck is very important when giving treasures to predestined people. I think. If you, Huolan, continue to be so careless, perhaps you'll be the first to die. Reverend Shui Ro glances at Huolan and says smilingly. You. Huolan is furious. However, at this moment, a mellow and melodious sound rises. In the beginning, the sound is low and hoarse like that of a resentful woman crying, but it makes everybody's heart tremble. Even Azure Dragon, Qin Yu and the others cannot help feeling unbearable grief in their hearts. Their eyes also become moist. Li Er, who is on one side of Qin Yu, however, brightens her eyes. Junior brother, be careful. Keep your mind clear. Don't let yourself be controlled by this flute sound. Old Taoist Gansu shouts at once. Even though old Taoist Gansu is clear-headed at the moment, he still feels unbearable grief in his heart. It is as if he has seen a tragedy in the human world, and his heart has been shaken unnaturally. Even though he knows that it is because of the flute sound, he still cannot control his heart. It can only be said that the flute sound is too strange. Qin Yu clenches his fists tightly. Beads of sweat have seeped out of his forehead. This flute sound is so strange. Qin Yu can obviously feel the peculiarity of this flute sound. Compared to Li Er's zither sound, this flute sound seems to have the effect of bewitching people, making people's minds enter some negative emotions. However, Li Er's zither sound makes people's minds peaceful and natural, blending into nature. Everybody present is resisting that flute sound. Among the people present, only Li Er frowns slightly, but does not have much reaction. Obviously that flute sound does not have much effect on Li Er. Nobody knows whether it is because Li Er is proficient in music, or because of some other reasons. The flute sound changes. It is like 10,000 galloping horses fighting on a battlefield. The atmosphere of the entire hallucinatory magic land becomes heavy and oppressive, as if it is filled with a layer of killing aura. It's either you die or I die. That kind of killing between life and death has completely entered everybody's mind. No good. Qin Yu feels that his entire mind is unable to hold on at all. He likes that kind of killing between life and death. That kind of killing between life and death is the most shocking. Naturally, Qin Yu is affected even more by it. Qin Yu cannot help falling into it. Even though he knows that there is something wrong with this flute sound, and that he should not be manipulated by it, Qin Yu still cannot control himself. Impressive. The way of rhythm is to subconsciously control one's mind. As for this flute sound, even though everyone knew it was dangerous at the beginning, they were still unable to control themselves. They could only watch as they sank deeper and deeper into it. Li Er praised in a low voice. Nobody hears Li Er's praise. Even third tribulation loose immortals and loose devils such as Huolan, Huacan and old Taoist Gansu have completely resisted the temptation of that flute sound. How can they dare to be distracted and listen to other people's words? Ah, kill, kill, kill! Jiao Jiao suddenly shouts. Li Er takes a look at Jiao Jiao and says in a low voice, Xiaomoists have a strong devilish nature. This Jiao Jiao hasn't even reached the middle Kongming stage, so it's natural that he'll be the first to fall into it completely. Jiao is seen running south like crazy. His eyes are very red and his mouth is still shouting kill kill. He is wantonly attacking the front with his hands, as if he has encountered something extremely frightening. However, at this moment, kill 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 them all. A furious roar rises. Another person has completely fallen into the devil's domain. This person is Black Dragon Yin-mo. Black Dragon Yin-mo is roaring. At the same time, he runs south at an even faster speed while attacking like crazy. Yin-mo, that's not right. This Yin-mo has an extremely firm mind. Even though his mental power can't be considered very high, his firm mind is even comparable to that of loose immortals and loose devils. How can this be? Li Er talks to herself while looking doubtfully at Yin-mo. All of a sudden, Li Er's eyes brighten. She sees that there is a fierce light in Yin-mo's crazy eyes. His target is none other than Jiao, who is in front of them. Chapter 199. Xiao Shui, Hong Wan. For the moment Big Brother is powerless to kill Huaqian and Hualan to avenge you, but you should believe that Big Brother will avenge you one day. As for now, Big Brother will collect some interest for you first. Yin-mo's killing intent soars. His eyes stare coldly at the crazy Jiao in front of him. Even though Yin-mo has not sunk into the demonic realm of the flute sound, he is still affected by it. His killing intent is completely revealed, reaching a state close to insanity. Kill kill die die. Jiao roars furiously. At the same time, he attacks forward as if there is an enemy in front of him. Jiao's eyes are very red. He has already gone completely crazy. Poof! Yin-mo's right arm has been completely covered by dragon scales. His right hand has turned into a black dragon claw. At the moment, that black dragon claw pierces through Jiao's dantian like piercing tofu, and directly grabs Jiao's yuanying. At the same time, Jiao's soul is also crushed. Xiao Shui Hong Wan. Yin-mo says slowly in a low voice. At the same time, he gasps for breath extremely fast like a bellows. Beads of sweat have also seeped out of Yin-mo's forehead. This flute sound is no ordinary flute sound. Even loose immortals and loose devils have to resist this flute sound wholeheartedly. Even though Yin-mo's mind is extremely firm, he dares to be distracted. While resisting the flute sound, he is distracted to kill Jiao. After being distracted for a while, Yin-mo is even more affected by the flute sound. In a trance, Yin-mo seems to recall the scene in the Dragon Clan. That bloody black stick shadow, that stubborn and unyielding look in his eyes, that resolutely disobeying the clan's designation and betraying it to enter the wilderness, a place where even the Dragon Clan has been warned not to infiltrate. In the wilderness, that Xiaohe dragon, whose power is not high, was struggling between life and death. Life and death. After wandering between life and death time and time again, Yin-mo has already reached the stage where he can maintain a clear mind between life and death. This is also why Yin-mo was able to distract himself to kill Jiao under the influence of the flute sound. This is also why Li Er said that Yin-mo's willpower is almost the same as that of loose immortals and loose devils. In the wilderness, demonic beasts fight each other for status through life and death battles. Yin-mo now had Little Snow, Hong Wan, and Long Yen as his subordinates. These three divine beasts had become his strongest generals. Yin-mo treated the three divine beasts under his command very well, as if they were his younger brothers and sisters. On the contrary, Yin-mo didn't have much sense of belonging to the dragon race. Huff huff, he was panting heavily. Yin-mo's uncontrollable killing intent spreads out wantonly. With reddened eyes, Yin-mo walks back to his original place according to his memory. The temptation of the flute grew stronger and stronger, and the people standing still found it more and more difficult to resist the sound of the flute. At the moment, there are Qin Yu, Li Er, Azure Dragon and the three yellow-clad men, Situ Shui and the black-haired old man, Reverend Yin Su, Old Taoist Gon Su and his two junior brothers, Reverend Yu Yen, Reverend Shui Ro, Huaqian and Hualan. On the surface, Qin Yu, Azure Dragon, and Situ Shui's foreheads were all covered in sweat, and their bodies were shaking uncontrollably. Obviously, Qin Yu, Azure Dragon and Situ Shue's ability to resist is relatively weak among them. Big brother Qin Yu has been practicing for too short a time. Even though his temperament can be considered firm, most of the others have been practicing for thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. It's already very difficult for him to reach such a level. Li Er says to herself with a sigh. Li Er takes another look at Situ Shue. This Situ Shue seems to be unable to bear it. Li Er has just finished saying. A mournful shriek is heard. At the moment, Situ Shue's entire body has gone crazy. The energy in her body surges up completely. Her short silver hair unexpectedly lengthens in the blink of an eye and flutters up like various sharp arrows. Her purple lips, however, turn black. She has become obsessed. The black-haired old man on one side, who has been resisting with his eyes closed, suddenly opens his eyes. Seeing Situ Shue like this, he frowns and immediately reaches out his hand to slap Situ Shue's shoulder fiercely, shouting in a low voice. Shue, wake up! Situ Shue suddenly turns around. Her long silver hair stabs towards the black-haired old man like numerous sharp arrows. Her red eyes show that Situ Shue has completely become obsessed. At the moment, the black-haired old man is also resisting the flute music. Seeing Situ Shue like this, the black-haired old man doesn't care anymore. He stands aside and continues to close his eyes, devoting himself to resisting the enchanted flute music. Situ Shue seems to be affected by something. She roars angrily and rushes towards the south. The south. They're all running towards the south. Is there something special about the south? Li Er says slowly in a low voice. Suddenly, Li Er notices that Qin Yu's body is trembling, and his eyes are gradually turning red. Big brother Qin Yu. Li Er reaches out her hand and tightly grabs Qin Yu's arm. Qin Yu's body trembles, and the red light in his eyes seems to weaken a bit. However, as the power of the flute music gradually increases, the red light in his eyes thickens again. In a trance, Qin Yu sees the scene from that year. Haha. Wu Xing laughs wildly and attacks Qinda wantonly. Qinda, who has already been seriously injured, is resisting non-stop. However, he spits out a mouthful of blood each time Wu Xing makes a move. This way, blood keeps flowing out of Qinda's mouth. Fenjiuzi is very anxious. He suddenly increases the power of his flying sword, wanting to save Qinda and escape. Relying on his profound power, Wu De forcibly holds Fenjiuzi back. Qinda suddenly shouts loudly. Finally, he and Wu Xing have their most powerful collision. Pooh! Blood splatters in the air. Qinda falls down slowly powerlessly. Die! Wu Xing says in a low voice. A dark red ray of light streaks across the sky and pierces straight at Qinda's body. Wu Xing smiles. He is looking forward to the scene of Qinda being pierced. Father, no. Catch it. Qin Yu suddenly howls in his mind. He raises his speed to the limit like never before. Almost like a miracle, Qin Yu catches Wu Xing's short knife. Wu Xing is stupefied. The others all look at this scene in disbelief. Die. Wu Xing smiles cruelly. At the same time, he attacks again, trying to pierce Qin Yu's and Qinda's chests. That flying sword pierces Qin Yu's chest. Wu Xing smiles because he knows his flying sword has pierced Qin Yu's heart. If the heart is pierced, he will definitely die. Father. Looking at his father, Qin Yu unexpectedly has endless power. Let's die together. Qin Yu suddenly utters a furious roar. He turns his head around and pierces Wu Xing's chest with his hands like sharp claws. However, at this moment, Wu Xing seems to have performed above his usual level. He directly retreats several meters and avoids this move of Qin Yu's. You want to perish together with me? In your dreams. Wu Xing laughs coldly. That flying sword pierces Qin Yu's heart. At the same time, it continues to shoot towards Qinda. No. Qin Yu feels a terrible pain in his heart. His entire mind is in a trance. Puchi. The flying sword pierces his heart. Father. The mask on Qin Yu's face breaks apart. Qin Yu looks at this scene in disbelief. His heart has been pierced and he also looks at Qin Yu in disbelief. You are. But immediately afterwards, the expression in his eyes gradually darkens. No. Qin Yu roars hoarsely. Big brother Qin Yu, big brother Qin Yu. Li Er holds Qin Yu's hand and shouts 2 or 3 times. However, at this moment, Qinyu can no longer hear her voice. At the moment, Qinyu has gone completely crazy. He directly shakes off Li Er's hand. With very red eyes, Qinyu runs directly towards the south. Before Qinyu has become a devil, another person has already become a devil, Azure Dragon. In terms of time, it can be said that Azure Dragon is only faster than Qinyu by 2 breaths worth of time. Big brother Qinyu is too sentimental, and has even sunk into the depths of his heart completely. This is the reason for his firm nature. At the same time, if a gap is left in Qinyu's heart, once he becomes a devil because of familial affection, big brother Qinyu will find it even harder to wake up. Li Er mutters to herself in a low voice. Seeing Qinyu running south, Li Er also follows Qinyu. At the moment, Reverend Yen Su, Ida, the 3 yellow-clad men, the black-haired old man, and the 7 loose immortals and loose devils are still standing in the distance. Reverend Yen Su, Ida and the 3 yellow-clad men are all sweating profusely. They are under great pressure, but the black-haired old man and the 7 loose immortals and loose devils are in about the same state. Even though people with high mental power usually have extremely firm minds in this hallucinatory magic land's flute music, this is not absolute. For example, even though Yen Mo is only at the middle Kongming stage, his mind is extremely firm. This black-haired old man is probably the same. In the boundless clouds and mist, Qinyu rushes south directly. Wu Xing, go to hell. Wu Xing, go to hell. Qinyu roars furiously and attacks Wu Xing non-stop ahead of him. But for some unknown reason, Wu Xing can always retreat several tens m in the air easily in impossible situations. Every time Qinyu wants to kill Wu Xing always retreats. Haha, Qinyu, come kill me. Wu Xing laughs wildly. That loud laughter makes Qinyu even more furious. Revenge, avenge father. As soon as Qinyu remembers the scene of his father being pierced through the heart and killed, he goes mad. Suddenly, Qinyu's whole body shakes. He feels as if a basin of cold water has been poured over his head in the middle of winter. His whole body quivers. At this moment, the tear of Lu Xing on Qinyu's chest trembles for a while. Immediately afterwards, it sends out a cold current, which rushes directly into Qinyu's brain. A silvery white cold current. It directly enters Qinyu's brain. His spiritual energy basically doesn't dare to get close to that silvery white cold current. The silvery white cold current penetrates into that spiritual disc. His soul seems to have undergone a fundamental transformation. The flashing flashes of lightning around his soul are vigorous and powerful. His soul becomes even more condensed. What's wrong with me? Qinyu's whole body wakes up completely. Looking at the boundless sea of white clouds and mist around him, Qinyu recalls the scene just now in a short while. That was close. Cold sweat oozes out from Qinyu's back. This hallucinatory magic land can actually completely seduce people's minds. My father didn't die at all. That Wu Xing died long ago. But when I was seduced, I believed in everything that was illusory without a doubt. Qinyu is extremely astonished in his heart. Just as Qinyu is astonished, the sound of the flute continues to rise. At first, the sound of the flute was formless, but now it has faint red ripples. Those red ripples are very faint, almost invisible. They extend from the south to the north in the form of various ripples. Qinyu's heart trembles again. After the transformation of his soul just now, Qinyu's resistance is much stronger this time. However, even though it is strong, how can it be so easy to deal with the flute sound that loose immortals and loose devils attach so much importance to? Last time, when he was possessed by the devil, he relied on Lu Xing's tear to stay awake. But now it seems, Qinyu is very likely to be possessed by the devil again. If he is possessed by the devil again, will Lu Xing's tears still have a miraculous effect? Wang, a familiar sound rises. Zither sound. A hint of joy flashes through Qinyu's eyes. He turns his head to take a look. He sees Li Er sitting cross-legged on the ground a few meters behind Qinyu. A guqin is on Li Er's lap. Li Er is quietly playing the guqin. Green ripples also spread out with Li Er as the center. The red ripples of the flute sound seem to be arch-enemies with the green ripples. They seem to be trying to wear each other down. Li Er's power is not high, so the green ripples are only able to spread out to an area of 10 meters around her, before they are completely worn down by the red ripples. However, the area within 10 meters around Li Er is the safest place in the entire hallucinatory magic land. At the moment, Qin Yu is within this area. Li Er, it's you? Qin Yu is delighted in his heart. Li Er continues to play the zither. Immediately, she raises her head and smiles brilliantly at Qin Yu. Just now someone was very shameful. He even cried. Qin Yu is astonished. Perhaps just now when he was possessed by the devil and saw his father die, he shed tears. Big brother Qin Yu, come with me. There are some wonderful things in the south. Li Er stands up and gently plucks the strings of the zither. Immediately, a green ripple shoots out in all directions, reducing the range to 5 meters. Qin Yu immediately follows Li Er. Just like that, the two of them run extremely fast toward the south. Unlike Situ Shui and Jiaojiu, Qin Yu and Li Er are running toward the south with their heads clear. If someone is tens of meters away from Li Er, they will discover that they simply cannot hear Li Er's voice. It is indeed very strange that the sound of the zither can only be heard within a range of 5 meters. Big brother Qin Yu, look ahead. Li Er suddenly says. Qin Yu raises his head to take a look. Kill. Kill. If you are a Xayimoist, die. With a furious roar, Yanmo's dragon claw directly pierces through Situ Shui's dantian, then grabs Yuanying and suddenly crushes it. That intense explosion even injures Yanmo's body, causing blood to seep out. However, he does not care about being injured at all. Kill. Kill. At the moment his eyes are blood red. Yanmo, he. Qin Yu is shocked. Li Er says with a nod. Yanmo is killing people on one side and resisting on the other. He's so distracted. Alas, he's about to be possessed by the devil completely. At the moment, Azure Dragon Yen Lang is running towards the south while roaring furiously. As soon as Yanmo sees Azure Dragon with his blood-red eyes. Kill! Kill! He unexpectedly runs towards Azure Dragon. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.